Hello everyone and welcome back to the Longplay Club for Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. We are back for Part 2, Act 2, Solid Sun. I'm your host Christian Buckley, codename Panther, joined by Omar Nakvi, codename Jaguar.
Hey!
What's up?
Oh, not much. You?
I'm doing alright, but I'm concerned. You look like you're in Middle East TM right now with that background from Act 1.
Oh, yeah, I'm actually in Rhode Island after the nukes dropped this morning.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah. So I'm doing my best.
Good to hear. Hopefully you can stay through the entire call. But
let's hope.
Also joining us, codename Pigeon, Jack Martin.
Pigeon Squad. How's it going? Good to be here.
Very good, very good. Rounding at the Longplay Club as well, codename Scorpion, Kevin Diaz.
Greetings. Omar always has this enormous coffee cup, right? Have we ever asked him what is in that coffee cup? Like, for all we know, that could be whiskey. You know? Are we aware?
Do you have an answer?
I mean, you want to hear it? You won't like the answer.
Really?
I'll
we won't like it?
I don't know. You either leave it to your imagination or you get this answer now.
I know what Omar drinks.
Yeah. I kind of want to know, but you know what?
Omar?
Yeah.
All right. I know what Omar drinks, but
Jeff probably knows.
He's a tea drinker, right?
Yeah, I drink tea.
Oh. Is it like a hot toddy type deal? Like,
oh, what?
You know hot toddies? They put it's tea and whiskey, I think. Or tea
no, it's a perfectly normal cup of tea, good sir.
I don't know. I'm a little suspicious. I don't know.
Now, what's going on in there? You got certainly not sleepy time. You can't be drinking sleepy time right now.
No, it's a cup of Earl Grey, of course.
There you go.
A professional tea for a professional man and professional podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very well, very well. Also, if we're just complimenting Omar, the Fortnite hoodie, excellent.
Fire.
I was waiting for someone to mention it. You guys let me hanging.
Fire hoodie. It's fire hoodie.
Appreciate it.
I definitely like it.
I don't know Omar that well, so I don't know if it is ironic or if it's completely there. But I appreciate it.
Cool.
Now,
thank you.
We will get into Guns of the Patriots very quickly, but I will say this, because Kevin was talking about Solid Snake Funko Pops before we were recording. I feel like Metal Gear doesn't have a ton of relevant merch. Like, I know Fangamer does stuff. They have like these really extra hoodies that like they're $50, and it's a cool one because it says Metal Gear Solid, like the font from the first one. But then like on the sides, it has like nuclear hazard stuff on like the sleeves. It's like that's a bit much, you know. Like I don't know, but. I don't know. Anybody have cool Metal Gear merch?
I got a ton. I got Uniqlo would put out a collection every time for a game release up until 5. And I got a bunch of Metal Gear Rising shirts. I used to wear those at school like all the time, Christian.
Oh, cool.
And I have a really nice Snake Eater shirt. I have, the company Insert Coin?
Yes.
Maybe I just come next podcast into a fashion show, but I got some real nice Foxhound shirts as well, but that's really.
I think I remember the Foxhound shirt.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Well, I did consider a bandana at one point for this show, but we'll see what happens. We got a couple games left. So, last week we left off with the conclusion of Act 1. Liquid is doing some stuff. Naomi is here. We didn't really talk about Naomi at the end of last week. And because of an editing flub, Kevin, we didn't get to hear all your thoughts towards the end, but like very quickly, the take on Liquid, Kevin, seeing him here.
Yeah. Oh man. So that means that the confusion I had of like, wait, what was it last week? I thought that. Oh, right. I thought that was. I did not remember that I was looking at Ocelot's body.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was, right? So Liquid Ocelot. I think I am positive on the fact that he's here. I definitely like it a lot. I think that like I said last week, I think throughout the recording, but I'll just reiterate like one more time. Like this is what I wanted after Metal Gear Solid 2. Like this is what I was looking for, you know. And we're definitely getting that. We're getting a lot of payoffs here. A lot of payoffs in this act as well. But yeah, no, I thought Act 1 was a great intro to the game for sure. And I think Act 2 is better than the first act for sure, in like a lot of different ways. Yeah.
Very nice. So why don't we get into Act 2? So out the gate, we get our first mission briefing, and we get another, what I'm convinced still is an MP4 of somebody actually cracking eggs in a pan. Because you see the eggs in the pan, they look great. You see those eggs on Otacon's desk, they look like shit. So,
well, there's a reason for that.
Yes, there is.
But you're right, though. I think, no, that's totally live action footage. I never noticed it, but yeah, those are two very human hands.
Yeah.
But,
They look real good, those eggs.
Yeah, I was I prefer them a little scrambled, you know what I'm saying? I'm a very simple gentleman, like I don't want, no sunny side up over medium. Nah, people get really picky about eggs. No, just scramble them up.
Now
you're getting picky about the egg.
Picky about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Scrambled requires more work.
Yeah.
What?
You know what a sunny side egg is? You crack it, you wait.
No, because there's like
Exactly.
over easy, over medium, over hard. Like people get really picky about how they do their eggs. Like, no, I like the easiest route possible.
Literally
Scramble.
the easiest route is cracking and not doing a thing. But okay.
Okay, fair.
So
fair.
we see who was cracking these eggs the first time, right? For some reason, no real answer on why this individual said Solidus before. We don't really get a follow-up on that, but it is revealed that the egg cracker is a child. And this child, Kevin, looks slightly familiar. And as this child is, cooking eggs on this airplane, they walk into a room where Snake's passed out because of the issues at the end of Act 1, and Otacon is monitoring him. But on her way there, on the wall, did you notice the picture? I'm sure you did, because they make it a point. But did you notice the picture on the wall?
Shoot, I'm forgetting. Oh, this is embarrassing. Yeah, no, I'm forgetting what the picture was, but
Do you know who the child is, though, then?
I think I know. Is she Sunny, right?
Yeah,
is she the daughter of oh my god, of Jack's kid, Rosemary? Like, is Sunny the daughter of Rosemary? Is that, or is it no, it's not. It's the other chick that we fought in the first episode of MGS2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's her. God damn it. Yeah, Olga's kid. Right. Okay. Yeah. I knew it was the baby of the pregnant. That's very obvious, but like the baby of the pregnant woman at some point in Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, okay. Right. Olga's kid. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So, she runs up, Jack. She's saying Uncle Hal. There's the picture of Olga. She's wearing like her little rainbow socks that I feel like Olga also had something like that, like maybe just striped stuff. I forget. But what's in your head about the way these two, maybe least qualified parents in the world are raising this child? What's it like seeing this scene play out in the briefing for you?
Sorry.
No, Jack, please.
Sorry, I thought Christian would just direct it at me. My bad. I like how we get the sense that like all this happened off screen. Obviously, we haven't seen it. It's also hilarious, like what you're hinting at, that Snake and Otacon have to be the fathers of this child.
Yeah,
which is hilarious.
Yeah, it's giving me like, I haven't seen this film, but there's that thing with Tom Selleck being a dad. Was the other like 3 Men and a Baby? Is that what it is? That movie?
I think so.
Yeah, it's just it's an interesting combination, and like we learn later this episode about Raiden's involvement, right? Because we know that kind of the last mission at the end of Sons of Liberty was Raiden was like, hey, so the Patriots still have Olga's kid. Snake, look into that, please, perhaps, because I got to figure out my own life. We'll get to Raiden later, but Omar, seeing the briefing play out, seeing Sunny in this world, being this like little protege of Otacon, kind of, what do you think of her involvement in the team? Because she's a vital member, apparently.
I'm a big fan of Sunny. I think she's so funny.
Yeah.
Or like she's very nervous around this legendary assassin.
Yeah.
And I think I thoroughly died when there's that encounter with Snake, and he's denying her shitty eggs. Right? They look terrible.
Yeah.
They are way over hard. I don't know what egg names are, but bad eggs. And Snake denies it by going, "I need to watch my caloric intake."
Yeah.
And she goes, "You need to watch your nicotine intake." And yeah, it was truly a tremendous moment.
Yeah.
She's the best character in the series. Big fan.
No, like I love that Sunny serves Snake a cigarette with the eggs,
Yeah.
and it's like, yes,
Very
hell yeah,
thoughtful.
yeah. And then like I think what was it like Snake is like, oh man, like Sunny doesn't know how to cook eggs, whatever. Like you should teach her to Otacon, and like he's like, do you really think I know how to cook eggs? Like, and it's like there's so much chaos here that it's like, hey, like she's literally upstairs, stove on, little kid, could easily get hurt.
Yeah.
Very, very funny.
Mm-hmm.
Very funny.
Yeah.
It's really cool seeing them interact with a child. I feel like.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I love that entire dynamic because it's so unexpected, especially right after where we left off, right? Of like Snake, like, is that Fox died that's getting him like this? Like, is he okay? And then all of a sudden it's just like we see this little kid is like clearly like she's acting like she's significantly older, I guess, but she's still a child because like she is raised by these people who don't know how to raise children. But I also think it's great that like she's the one who's able to decode Naomi's message and stuff like that, and she was like going off on this whole thing about like 4D audio. It's like, love Sunny, she's great.
Yeah.
But
4D Soliton radar information or whatever, like,
yeah.
or
Mm-hmm.
it was crazy.
Yeah. So in this briefing, we get a bit more from, this introduction to this core group. I believe the Nomad is the name of the plane that they are circling the globe on as their base of operations. And
Who's flying this thing?
autopilot.
AIs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Snake and Otacon sort of hash out what the next steps are for them. We get a bit of insight into what's going on with Naomi. We keep checking with Colonel Campbell again, who's in this like real nice mansion being served steak dinner or something by this woman who Meryl clearly doesn't like. But Kevin, seeing them play out the mission briefing, right? Like something we would typically see through maybe MGS1, the way that intro cutscene pre-menu to start the game goes, where Snake's exiting the submarine, Colonel's narrating everything. And even in MGS2, we do have like some of the beefier codec calls midway through the game to like, next objective, this is it.
Yeah.
Having this more episodic approach to what's going on in terms of chunking out the story and levels, are you into it? Because I know it's a decently length cutscene, but it does a lot of character building and teeing up the mission. So are you into that more than other games' attempts at doing that?
Oh yeah. Like I was like very vocal about like, oh man, I don't know, I've heard like MGS4 has super long cutscenes, whatever, and like I think I just wasn't expecting that. No, like we're on the PS3, they're gonna do cutscenes a little bit differently in this game. Like that was just something that like I just didn't know. When I thought of cutscene in one of these games, I was thinking like the long expedition dumps of like MGS 1 and 2, where like 75% of it is like the codec, and then a little bit of it is like sometimes they'll flash some images at you and stuff like that, like almost like PowerPoint-esque type of looking dynamic. And like seeing what we have here in this game and its cutscenes, it's very much more like a modern taste, and like I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Like I was most impressed, I think, by this is jumping like a little bit ahead, but it's when Snake is sneaking up to Naomi in that like building that she's at, and the way the camera like is like a hand cam, like shaky cam, as Snake is like drawing his gun and like checking all the cores and everything. Like the way that is shot in this game just adds so much tension, and like you like with the camera shake and movement, like it feels very tense as Snake is tensely trying to find her, you know, like it's very, very well done. Like I think the cutscenes in this game are really, really good, you know. So when we get to that hour and a half one, like likely gonna enjoy it.
Nice. We'll
see. I don't know when it is. Do we know which act it's in?
I think it's towards the end.
Okay, gotcha.
But Omar, I know we've checked in with every game so far. Big fan of the codec. We do still get codec stuff, but the mission briefing thing, the episodic nature, I feel like, of MGS4, maybe it's a sign of things to come. But how are you feeling with seeing the game being broken up and I guess dished out this way so far for story and objectives?
No, I like it. It's fun. I feel like a lot of it is to like they're trying to keep players engaged during like these long dumps, and so you get all these fun buttons to press. So it's like Snake and Otacon are talking about something, and then I'm just, I don't know, I guess I'm looking at Sunny cook eggs as well and controlling the Mark II. It's weird, but I think it works. I don't know. How'd you feel about it?
I liked it. Yeah, I think it's cool they give you the menu of like different security cams and different stuff like that to check in on the Nomad, but I went full screen pretty immediately just because I really like all these characters and I really like the direction that we've got with this game so far for the performances and the way story is dished out. So like I just wanted to soak it in and just let it play out, because I'm really honestly I feel like I'm watching a lot more than playing, which I'm completely fine with, but it's definitely getting me in more of a mood of like I'm consuming a TV show kind of, which I kind of like, but definitely less of a drag compared to some of the longer cutscenes in like 3, I think. But Jack, for the lore and setup we get here with Colonel, that woman, how did you feel with the way that we tee up Act 2? Because we get our objective, you know, Naomi's out here doing something. We learn a bit about what she's been up to since MGS1 and Snake's sort of reaction to all of that. Like, do you feel like we're on a good trajectory to see what's up with Snake and Naomi later this episode?
Well, like, to your point about like how this is broken up into acts, I think the thing I really liked about this act was how it deviated from the Metal Gear formula, I think, in the best possible way, where it's not just a singular location anymore, which was never bad, but I like this idea of MGS adopting the Uncharted or sort of Indiana Jones globetrotting adventure, and I really appreciated that about this act, where this game's not just all in the Middle East trademark, and it's not just all in South America trademark, right? Like we're going around to different places, and I think the action of this game it is, at the end of the day, it is sort of just hallway gameplay, but I think that some of the things that you can do in this act in particular makes each environment super interesting. So I liked how this wasn't just in the same location. We're going around to different places, and I think that's cool.
For sure. A couple little story beats that happen here before we dive into the actual Act 2 that I want to just throw out there, and if anybody wants to comment on, feel free. I completely forgot who the woman was. I don't know if the returning players also forgot, but I completely forgot that was her. I just saw this girl like serving up dinner, and I was like, all right, yeah, I get why Meryl doesn't like her. You know, it feels a little weird, but yeah, that was a shock later.
Meryl's the player dude from Metal Gear Solid. That's what it is. She's mad about Rose. I don't know if that's true, but yeah, that whole dynamic is weird, right? Like Colonel Campbell with this 30-year-old woman.
If you told me that, I would have thought you guys were like joking with me, you know? Or, like, no, there's no shot. Colonel marries Rosemary?
Yeah.
Like, nah, no shot. And it's like, damn, they did the thing. Hey, I mean, two consenting adults. Hey, it is what it is. But yeah, that age gap, kind of
But
looking crazy. Yeah.
he's so slimy about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
There's a really gross line between like Snake is talking to him on codec and he's like, she's young enough to be your daughter, and he's like, yeah, lucky me, huh? It's
Yeah,
like,
I was like,
that's
oh, dude,
disgusting.
ew.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
Colonel,
killing the
no.
colonel, man. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Keep lying to me about, like, I don't know, the mission I'm on, not like this nasty shit. Yeah, yeah.
So the other things we pull from this is that we know Liquid wants the Sons of the Patriots to control the nanomachine soldiers, and Naomi in her little "Cam, come save me" thing is saying that there's different generations of nanomachines. Snake has first gen, and Foxeye was a byproduct of that experimentation of first gen nanomachines. So nanomachines have been in the background of this saga since the beginning. We definitely, I think in the first hour of MGS1 they name drop nanomachines, I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah.
It's been looming, but here it's definitely coming to a head. And we also, speaking of MGS1, get a little check-in. Mei Ling out in Hawaii doing some stuff.
Indeed. Yeah.
There was something I wanted to bring up during Metal Gear Solid 2, but I didn't know if I should because this moment happens. But like Mei Ling is in Metal Gear Solid 2. If you just call Otacon too much on the tanker as Snake, eventually Mei Ling just picks up and does a joke.
That's awesome.
Whoa.
I didn't know that.
But yeah,
That's cool.
Damn.
So wait, is that because they said that she was on a decommissioned ship to get like the Navy soldiers equipped to dealing with the ship? Was the ship she was on like one of the tankers? Is that what's implied there, or is it just like a different, like she just calls you for fun?
I think it's just a weird joke.
Okay.
But yeah,
Interesting.
I think. Go ahead, Kev.
It was like separate from what you were talking about. So if you want to finish your point, by all means.
Well, if we're talking about the Mei Ling interaction, I think there's also a bit of slime here too from Otacon going, she always likes older men, and then Snake going, maybe I should get on that boat or something. I don't know. Like it's in a way it's kind of funny to see Snake is still horny for Mei Ling all these years later, but also very much no.
Does it make it worse because now he's an old man?
It does make it worse.
It was always bad though.
Yeah,
I think.
But before
now that
in MGS1 it was definitely like, oh, Snake, like everything.
Like Hot Shot.
It was very weird still, but like it was still very playful. But now it's just like this old man is like, oh yeah, I'd love to get over there.
Well, that's what I didn't. I thought maybe the old man, now Snake, is almost joking about how he used to be in that one scene.
Okay.
But no, also it could just be he's a very nasty old man, like old men are. Don't trust him.
Yeah, because there's another instance of old Snake, old man pervert thing later on that we can talk about when we get there. But
sure.
Act 2, Solid Sun. In our briefing, we learned that Liquid is trying to go off against the Patriots. He is basically acting as a new Big Boss because Big Boss apparently also hates the Patriots. And Liquid is taking on, the legacy of Big Boss, of his father, of kind of not really what Ocelot wanted to do, because Ocelot was with the Patriots. But that's something that they really set up, when Colonel's giving Snake that little drop as we're sneaking close to the base that Naomi's at. But I want to ask all of you, does it seem like Snake should also be aligned with Liquid? Because does Snake want to keep up this Patriots grasp on everything? Because it seems like the way that they paint that, at least in MGS2, seems like the Patriots having control over everything is not great. And by the end, we're like, hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't disturb the peace. But it does seem like now, seeing all of the war that's broken out because of the Patriots maintaining that control, like, Snake isn't glad that there's constantly war. Like, he's not happy that there's war, I don't know.
I think he thinks that this is still better than Liquid controlling everything.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah.
but you are right. I didn't really consider is Snake an agent of the Patriots here, in a way.
I think Colonel says in like the very opening of Act 2, Snake and him were talking about it, and Colonel was like, you can't really destroy this system yet because it's so ingrained and it would just destroy more than just the, like, it wouldn't just stop the war that's happening. Like, it would be like a complete catastrophe of all things in society. So, like, love it or hate it, this has to stay in place in some way or another. We just got to get Liquid out of the situation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting also because later we do introduce the explanation of that big freeze moment at the end of Act 1 where the soldiers, the masquerade that's like keeping them blinded to all the trauma they're bringing on themselves by constant war is taken away. So like that's a similar sort of I guess way of thinking of how Colonel's looking at the Patriot situation, which makes sense. And you know, I just find it interesting because Snake, I think the response that you said, Jack, from Colonel, I think is brought on by Snake questioning something about that. So I it stood out to me of like, so yeah, whose side is Snake like fully on? Is he just trying to make sure like, you know, minimize casualties or something? But I thought it was interesting. So
yeah, the one thing I want to sidestep, the like 4D like file type thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those were maps from like Shiloh Moses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool as fuck. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was like, that is really cool.
So
that's really cool.
Jack, let me know, what was it like hopping in to Act 2 immediately? We see this sneak in, we get these two warring factions. Play to your advantage. What's up?
Yeah, so like first thought of Snake like around in camo around the animals, I was like, MGS3. This is a clear nod to MGS3. Yeah. But like I guess holistically, I love how in Act 1 and in Act 2, you come in and there's two warring factions. There's always a PMC and then there's another group. And in this case, I think it's the Rebels versus a PMC-backed militia, something like that. Mm-hmm. Rebels versus the government, essentially. And I love how you can essentially, you're kind of pigeonholed into choosing a side, but I like how you can aid one side to sort of gain the advantage and make your sneaking a lot easier. Mm-hmm. And instantly I was like, the Rebels are held captive. I'm going to take all of these government troops out, and then Rebels stand up, take all their guns, and then go off to war. And like the whole time I'm just following the Rebels and just staying back in the distance and sort of helping them in their fight, and then just sort of reaping the benefits of being like, it's a lot easier to sneak through now. So I think in terms of pure gameplay and like situational gameplay, I think this act was really, really, really fun. And I love just letting the Rebels do their thing and then just following up afterwards. It was so cool.
Yeah. I was just going to throw in, I did pretty much the same thing. I saw them being captive and I was like, all right, I'll trank the dudes, keep them watch. They got up, they ran off. And that was just a really cool way to start off the mission for sure, because it did give me an opportunity to just kind of book it down those first couple hallways through the environment. But Kevin, I know you have a point, but I also want to hear what you think of this, because this is early PS3, right? Mm-hmm. And that idea of manipulating the AI to play in your favor, I think we saw a couple games attempt that generation with, like, I know Far Cry was pretty big on that, where it's like, hey, throw in the bait and the animals can just wreck shop on an outpost, and then it kind of clears the outpost for you. But like this, again, was an early PS3 game, so the idea of, yes, it's self-contained, but like siding with an AI to sort of make it easier for you, or choosing not to and just making it harder on yourself. How was it seeing that in a game that is like this old?
Yeah, I was really impressed by it. I was really impressed. Like, even like when you keep looking at the AI, like as they move across the battlefield, like how they react to certain things, what they do. Yeah, there's some instances where I was like, okay, like that was like a very basic AI move of like, once you are unseen fully, they all kind of walk in a straight line and go back to where they're like intended to be. So like stuff like that, say okay, whatever. But like, I just love the aspect of like Snake like being able to manipulate war itself to its advantage. I know that's like reading deep into it, and like that's like the in-world thing of what he's doing, but the same translation, like being able to wield AI in ways to help you gain an advantage, I think was just super cool, and that was really, really, really neat. On top of that, it's like I love that when at least I personally felt like when we stepped down in this area, it's like, oh man, a lot of greenery outside. This is gonna be like MGS3. This is gonna suck, But I just love how diversified it still felt, and it wasn't just like a flat plain with like some trees and like 2 or 3 guards. Like there was a lot going on here, and the fact that like they still push like, hey Snake, this is a sneaking mission. The fact that like you're told to be stealthy in a war zone and use the war that's happening in the area to your advantage, I think is like some of the coolest things I've ever done. Like I thought it worked so well. At least for me personally, like just sneaking around this entire like battlefield. Like I just thought it was a really cool like dichotomy in that way. That was super neat. I really enjoyed it. Like this is what MGS3 should have been. Like these outside environments, like this, and yeah, okay, PS2 limitations, but yeah, but like this is what it should have been, for sure.
Do you guys know of a soldier even more legendary than Solid Snake? He goes by the name of Master Chief.
Yes,
and I feel like Halo's bread and butter was that like alien versus alien infighting you could watch and participate in. If you guys want to check out some Halo at some point, it's pretty cool.
I am
Halo's awesome.
Planning on it, and it's cool too because recently I've been playing Monster Hunter Rise, right? And like a huge mechanic of that is also getting turf wars to go down. Like you're hunting this giant monster, and it's like, hey, follow me into this other monster's nest. They'll do a decent amount of damage on you, and then I can just finish you off when like they get tired of fighting you. So I really like that in games. So seeing that in a Metal Gear, I thought was cool because we haven't really dealt with that so far. And like Kevin said, the set dressing of it, of like, yeah, you are in these open environments, but it's a war zone, so use that to continue the sneaking, I think is much more interesting and engaging and genuinely fun than Snake Eater, because I definitely had that thought too. Like seeing this jungle-y area, it's like this fucking thing. It's just like, there's these paths, okay, there's like these different lanes, the transition the same way that we did in 3 of like, okay, big green area, okay, get this tunnel, okay, we get the little letterbox thing, next area, same thing. Like definitely had those thoughts, but I think the fact that there is just so much other action going on and you have to be avoiding that as well, I think made it way more engaging, and I had a way better time with that than any environment like this in 3.
It's like it was this section where I'm like, damn, like I now really just don't comprehend how anyone could think that MGS3 is better than like this game. I know I'm like 2 acts in, and like that's very like, come on, Kev, see it through. Maybe it's trash at the end. I don't know, But this act alone like outdid any gameplay segment in MGS3 like ×2, hands down. Besides like certain fights and all that, and like ladder scene is the best part of MGS3, and the end boss scene with the flowers, another highlight in that game for sure. But like everything else, this act is better than that. For sure.
I feel like I also didn't like Metal Gear Solid 3 that much, but like in terms of like just thinking about the encounter design and that and the way those levels are laid out, I feel like they are bigger and more spacious than what we've seen so far in this one in terms of the hallways. They feel more constricted, aside from a couple areas like the mansion area. I feel like, maybe if Metal Gear Solid 3 had crouch walking, you guys would be talking a little differently.
Probably, yeah, probably.
Awesome.
Yeah,
But
that's a very big point.
I totally agree with Omar. Like the environments in 3 were obviously like much more spacious, but I think because of the limitations of the PS2, they didn't particularly with the AI, they didn't flesh them out enough that they were interesting enough, because if you pop into a place in Metal Gear Solid 3 and then you just take out your trank and just sort of look around and just snipe some people from far away, you can dispatch them like pretty easily, and there's really not a lot of strategy involved. But I feel like this game being a PS3 game, like I feel like it leverages the power of the PS3 in a lot of great ways. But I think specifically with the AI of just having way more characters on screen than we've ever seen before in a Metal Gear game, and just being able to do anything you want with them, really. Like, you can go in and just kill anyone. If you want to kill the rebels and the government in this act, you could totally do that. Or if you want to avoid action altogether, that's also a possibility. And I feel like the tools at your disposal for this are more so than in any other game, Metal Gear game. Like, they're just more varied, and I think this act definitely shows that pretty well.
Yeah, because for the majority of this mission, I was stealthing. I don't think I killed anyone. I think I might have killed a couple frogs towards the end of it, but like, I was barely even tranking. Also, I really was using the opportunities brought on by these like little faction wars to just sneak. And I think, Omar, you're definitely right. I think the level layouts of stuff in 3 it's more open. It's like, it's probably hits what they're going for better, but I do think that because there is more action here, it makes what I love about Metal Gear, which is the stealth, feel more rewarding than it ever did in 3. Because in 3, I was very much like what Jack said. It was either like pop, 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 or I could just like kind of walk through when I saw a hole in their little patrol area, and then I was fine. But
Do you feel like the octo camo stuff is like trivializing it though? Because it's really fun, but it definitely feels less like espionage than I guess the other ones did to me. Like,
no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, yeah, it feels
Yeah.
great, but it's like a different kind of stealth, I guess.
I use the camo stuff as kind of like another like strategy type of way, where like there's sometimes that like I won't blend into what I'm up against, and I use it kind of sparingly. Like, I think it automatically does it when you're when you're prone and you're moving. I think it automatically does it. I also like how like it grows like roots and stuff like that. If you're like in grass, like it makes it look like really real, like a real piece of the environment. That's super cool.
It seems like it actually scans the texture you're on.
Which and I didn't know. And it like texturizes it too. Like it's super convincing. Yeah, for sure. I actually got caught. I was up against like a rock face, and this enemy jumped down, and he like eyeballed me for a little bit, and then walked up slowly, kept staring at me. He paused for a little bit, and I was like, "Oh man, is he gonna walk away? I don't know." And he kicked me, and then it was all over. Yeah,
damn.
And we just went into full on like alert stats and all that. But yeah, I just use it more like strategically in like certain ways. You know, I don't really like depend on it that much, but it's a cool mechanic for sure. I like it a lot.
Yeah, for this act specifically, the only time I really relied on it was if I was, getting to an area where there's grass overgrowth, so I could just like scope out the path I'd be taking next as there was more war going on. But yeah, I really didn't use it frequently outside of taking a pause and like surveying what's next for me to do. Because in Act 1, at least, there were instances where I tried to rely on it pretty heavily, and it was not convincing enough in a few occasions. And because of that, I'm like, okay, I'll use it as a safety, as a pause thing, or if I'm really screwed and I just gotta throw a Hail Mary out there, because who knows if it's gonna work. But yeah, I can see where it would be trivialized, where it's less of a thing you have to think about, just more like, okay, I'm in a wooded area, so should I use the leaf camo or should I use the forest camo or something like that? Like, taking that aspect out of it, yeah, I do think it makes it easier for sure, but I think that just the idea of, hey, there's an option here, for me at least, knowing and thinking of it as a tool, it wasn't as trivialized, I think, as it could have been, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah. I really loved the camo system in MGS3, and I like the idea of finding camo too. And I feel like the game sort of made you, or it sort of rewarded you for exploring in that regard. But I like how this sort of takes the going into the menu and seeing which camo is best, and then swapping it in, and then getting back into the game. It takes that out of it, which it honestly just sort of speeds up the process. And the camo system in MGS3 just sort of tells you what's best anyway, so there's not too much strategy involved, because whichever the higher number is, sort of, obviously is the better one. So having an automatic system, I feel just sort of speeds that process up. And I really like how in this act in particular, even if you are using the camo, you can still get hit in the action, because I'd be like lying on the ground just sort of watching everyone fight each other, and stray bullets would hit me so often, and Snake would just like, you have to flinch it off without giving away his position, which I think was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it just adds to, I don't know, I just think it just adds so much to like the actual environment and what's going on, and that like, there's a war going on. Just because you're camo and hidden, like, doesn't mean you're safe necessarily. Like, there's some real combat going on. It's like, damn, yeah. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
If you guys find any cool camos, you can save them, which I found out. Like, if you're like against like a red brick building, and for whatever reason you just want to walk around as a red brick Snake, you can save that in the camo menu.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. Okay.
That's very cool.
Do we know if there's blackface in MGS4?
Haven't confirmed yet.
I have to ask.
Oh, no.
Do we know?
Well,
are we aware?
Maybe after the item you get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, right, okay, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay.
But,
Gotcha.
I forget if we go to the mansion first, because the next note I have written down after all that stuff is just Vamp.
Well,
Vamp is front and center.
Yeah, Vamp is like at the way beginning, and also what's her? Laughing Octopus.
Yeah, we should talk about that scene a little bit, because I think it's pretty cool. Because the act opens up on that little rabbit or whatever in the woods, but then Snake is sneaking up on this base, and then there's a Laughing Octopus, but her head is Solid Snake's old Snake, and her eyes are kind of freaking out, and she's just torturing these PMCs, or I think they're rebels, right? They're mostly just attacking these rebels and saying this is the man who you should be afraid of or something. And it's a freaky scene.
Yeah, like, it's so cool. It's so cool. Yeah.
Did it impact anybody's sneaking with any of the factions? Like, because I forget if it was rebels or PMC. You could tell me it was either, but I definitely had an instance where, because I was maybe shooting the PMC, there was one point where I snuck up past a rebel and I didn't realize it, and then they looked at me and there was a little heart emoji that popped out of them, so I was like, oh, okay, we're cool. So I don't know if that, because that's what I thought it was going to do, right? Like, because she does say this is the face that's ruining you and all that stuff, remember this face, and I was like, oh, so am I going to be screwed regardless? But I don't think that impacted me. Did it impact anybody?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I really thought it would do the same thing, but nope.
Fair.
That would have been interesting. Like, if you're helping the rebels in this, like, definitely gives you an edge to sort of get through the level. It'd be really interesting if that, even if you are helping the rebels, if they see you, you're kind of screwed because they'll just turn on you. But yeah, I guess they didn't do that. I think that would have been a cool addition.
Yeah. It would have been cool if, like, it was randomized. Like, hey, some of you might get, her talking to the PMCs, and maybe you'll be better off aiding the PMCs versus, rebels, etc. I think that would be cool if it was randomized, but
sure. So the other half of that scene, though, Kevin, is Vamp. What was it like seeing Vamp again? Because the last time we saw Vamp, I'm pretty sure we convinced you that he was dead.
Let's go. Prime time gaming here, boys. I was like, oh man, and to see that bullet wounds.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh man, God, yes. Like, why wasn't MGS3 this? God damn it! Like, I'm so glad we're here. I'm loving it. Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. A lot hairier of a chest than I remember. Actually, I don't think his chest was exposed at all. I was like, okay, all right, you know.
That cell processor, Kev.
That's what I'm saying, yo. You got to get all those individual hairlines. Yeah, I hear you. But yeah, no, that was definitely a good surprise. I liked it a lot. Yeah, definitely. Hell yeah, let's go. And it gets better with who, you know, like, oh my god, no, like, we're not gonna jump there yet. I want to, but let's just keep it going.
Save
Omar,
it, Kev. Save it.
I have
Yeah,
two
you're
questions for you.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically because we rewound back to this opening scene where we see these two characters, antagonists. First, how do you feel about Vamp being back? And secondly, I know you brought up with the end of Act 1 the maybe not loving the Psycho Mantis illusion there, but Laughing Octopus, yes, the code names are callbacks to Foxhound, but like I feel like the way that Laughing Octopus exists is pretty different from Decoy Octopus, but I guess there's like the face thing, so like
I totally even forgot about Decoy Octopus, to be real with you. I thought, yeah,
I forgot too.
because
I
was saying that and I was thinking of Raven for some reason, and I was like, wait, no, Decoy Octopus's whole thing was changing their face. Like, that's what Laughing Octopus is. So yeah, how do you feel about this? Because I know you weren't too hot on the Mantis illusion.
yeah, I mean, look, it's okay if you're. I enjoy it too, but I do think this game is very much fan service for Metal Gear Solid 1 fans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a lot of it, and it's fun. I actually really like the Laughing Octopus scene right there, just because it's freaky.
Yeah.
But not to jump later, but you know, I think maybe I actually really hate the idea of the Beauty and the Beast in general. I think they're terrible.
Yeah.
But
I think I'm with Omar, honestly. I have a feeling at this point that Metal Gear Solid 1 is the only game that has like incredible bosses in it in this series. Like,
Yeah.
even Metal Gear Solid 2, I'm a big Fat Man guy, let me tell you. I love me a good old Fat Man, but the rest of the cast of the villains, even Vamp and Fortune, really didn't do it for me all that much, and I don't think we didn't really get great boss fights in the same way we did in Metal Gear Solid 1, and I'm not convinced, and we'll get to it, I'm not convinced that this game really has all that great boss fights. And the fact, like what Omar was saying, the fact that there are seemingly all references to old Metal Gear 1, Metal Gear Solid 1, maybe even future Metal Gear bosses is just like, okay, I guess we're retreading water in that regard for the bosses, and I'm not sure if I'm all on board for that.
I think I'm with the two of you. I kind of hate the Beauty and Beast thing, but like I'll say conceptually, with them sort of being twists on the Foxhound thing, I think so far, like you're saying, Jack, every single Metal Gear has been trying to recapture that villain group, where MGS2, it's doing it for a reason, you know, like that. There's a point behind that. MGS3, it was like, look at these wackos, you know? Aren't they wild? Aren't they weird? It's like, they're not really, but okay. Like,
And people say they're the best. Come on.
yeah.
I
Grow
don't
up.
understand.
people say that they're the
don't
best group.
understand.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, there was a mention I had. Someone really tried to tell me that MGS3's villain group was better than MGS1, and I just don't understand how.
Yeah.
Cobra
You can come to
suck,
that
dude.
conclusion.
Cobra
I
suck.
really don't.
Yeah.
I really don't.
No, but where I'm going with this was, well, like the Cobras, it's like they're trying to recapture that, but it's like flopping, you know? Like none of those
Yeah.
people were interesting, even if they were portrayed badly. Like they were just weren't interesting. It's like you're just a dude that has a birthmark or something. Like, I don't know, but I do think the idea, because yes, Omar, it's absolutely fan service, but I think the idea of like calling back to that and then throwing a weird, you know, far future Metal Gear tech and science and weird stuff mix on that code name, I think on that level, at least it's fun, because they're not trying to say something with this the way they are with 2's bosses. 3's, again, there's like, well, we should do this because that's what the series is about, and it kind of suffers for that. But here it's like, yes, they are sort of doing the 3 thing, but at least the way they're framing it, I think, is more interesting than what 3 did, so I'm cool with it on that front. But the way everything else about the Beauty and Beast thing, I hate. I really wish they weren't in the game.
So you're into it because of like the
code names.
The code names. Okay, I get it. Yeah, they're good.
Yeah,
and I like the tech too. And I mean, at the end of it, not to jump too ahead, but like, look, the fact that Snake gets a piece of tech from Laughing Octopus, now it's a Metroid game or something. That's cool.
Yeah,
it is.
I hope it keeps happening.
Yeah.
But,
I don't think it's enough for me to be like, I'm glad they're in the game, because I really do not. Like, I have several notes about that fight later on, but I do think if we look back at the series, because like they were gonna have to have a unit like this apparently, so if they're doing it, I like the way they are treating it of like, hey, you remember this? Completely different than what it should be, but it's still tied a little bit. I like that approach to it versus 3's like, well, we should do this, right?
Like, I mean, for me, like, these enemies being like a remix of the first game enemies, like, I would rather that than MGS3 any day. Besides the Fury's great. We all said that Fury's dope, but like, that's pretty much where the bar stops, honestly, in terms of like boss fights in MGS3. Like, I wasn't really too hot really at all about like the process of like them like being all females, but like they have such kind of like a negative like twist to them that I don't really think was all that necessary, like, I don't know. Like that,
the trauma porn stuff you're talking about.
I mean,
it's
we can
like,
talk about it now if you want, because like,
let's do it.
There's the
it's just
talk
like
about the mansion as well, but like, because we get this drop after the mansion, but like, so we meet up with Drebin and he's like, oh hey, you brought in the B&B unit, huh? And like, we get a little insight into them where like, I think, what did I write down? Babe's traumatized by war. That's a quote. They think killing Snake will free them from pain, fear, and sorrow.
Is that the direct quote?
Yep. And then
I didn't pick up on that.
Yes. And then Snakehound, I think is the name of the unit.
Yeah.
Snakehound.
They mention Octopus, Raven, Wolf, and Mantis, if my notes are to be believed.
Yeah. So like I do think, again, in concept, I think the framing of, hey, let's call back to Metal Gear Solid 1 here and make it twists on it is cool. The execution, Christ. Like,
yeah. Real quick before we get into that stuff, I think we get an explanation of Lale Low, which I believe Patriots can't say the word Patriots. Is that the correct interpretation?
I think that's what was inferred. Yeah.
So that
anyone can't say Patriots. Like,
but
Snake says Patriots.
Yeah, right? So I think it's the people who
nobody with the nanobots can say Patriots, right?
Yeah, if you got the Patriot shit in you,
the Patriot nanobots. Yeah. Can't say Patriots.
Gotcha.
Wait, so like, is Lale Lulelo just like a synonym?
Yes.
For them saying.
Yeah.
So if you're in the Patriots and you say it's the Lale Lulelo, that means you're in the Patriots. You can't say I'm in the Patriots if you're in the Patriots.
Damn, that's so less interesting. Okay, all right. Okay, I see that. Okay, huh.
But I mean, like, everyone's in the Patriots, though, right? Because they control everything and everyone has their stuff.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It sounds to me like the simple explanation is that if you know who the Patriots are and you have the nanomachines associated with this, you can't say the word Patriots.
I think it's more because, Omar, you're right. Like, pretty much everybody has that. I think it's more of a cover for them of like, not everybody knows who the Patriots are.
Right.
But the people that
But
do,
it's not like we're saying if Drebin could say it or Drebin couldn't. Like, it's it's not disproving that he's one of the few members of them, right? Like,
No, like
Okay.
Meryl says "Lale Lule Lo" because she can't say Patriots. Like Snake is
Okay.
like, "Oh, the Patriots involved," and then Meryl's like, "The Lale Lule Lo." No, she would have said Patriots in that situation.
Yeah.
but I don't
I
think
see,
she
I see.
physically can. Yeah.
I
Oh,
see.
so
I see.
I see. So that's why everyone's saying this ridiculous thing
Yeah.
Yes.
because they have to. Okay, that makes
But
sense.
why did Drebin not say low at the end?
Because-
Did you guys catch that?
No, because
He's too cool.
Yeah, I think what he was doing
The
was
Lale Lule.
Yeah, 'cause- I think what was happening there is what the explanation that Jack is talking about, where Drebin was going through with it to like pull a fast one on Snake, and he's like, I gotcha, because I think he says the Patriots after that, and Snake's like, why can you get around that? And he's like, I got my ways.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And,
okay.
and then he talks about like the system and that like no one can hack it essentially.
And that there's the different AIs, and it really is coming back to a lot of MGS2 with GW, and not necessarily GW maybe, but like that idea that there's an AI that is the core priority of the Patriots, and there are multiple pillars to it. So, Omar, I feel like you might be saying something about this.
I'm thinking. I don't know. We have to see how the game goes, but I do love Metal Gear Solid 2 a lot, and I think the way that game deals with its concepts and leaves you kind of thinking, I think is pretty cool. But then the way this game gives you answers or contextualizes a lot of those concepts, not as cool.
Yeah, because I was definitely thinking this when Drebin was talking about that AI stuff, and there was like the multiple cores, and that the SOPs are just part of the greater Patriots plan of the system. I was like, it did feel like it maybe lessened what was going on in MGS2, kind of, because it was like, that seemed like such a huge deal, but in reality, that changed nothing. You know, like,
Yeah.
them losing that clearly wasn't a big deal, because, you know, maybe GW was meant to be one of these, maybe there were 4 pillars, but now there's 3. That one controls the soldiers. I don't think we know what the other 2 control yet, but they all make up the Patriots' control over the world.
I'll be honest, my eyes kind of, whenever the game goes into PowerPoint mode, I just lose it. I can't watch it. Like, I'm glazing, my eyes glaze. It's not a fault of the game, but I just for some reason cannot keep my attention on it. But
I think it kind of is because a fault of the game, because there are so many points. That's a really great way of putting it when it goes into PowerPoint mode, because it's like cutscene and then it cuts and it's like it's literally like Bentley talking to like Sly Cooper and be like, all right, Sly, this is what we got to do this time. And it's like, oh man, they're going into like exposition heavy, like, and it's very convoluted. And sometimes they go into a PowerPoint within a PowerPoint, and it's like, what's happening here? You're trying to explain what you just said, and you're making it way more confusing and unnecessarily so. I don't know if that's a translation issue. I don't know if that's just a bizarre plot to begin with, and there's no way anyone could explain that to anyone. I don't know what's happening. It's very confusing.
Like, Jack, you played this was your first Metal Gear game, right? Like, so this was my first Metal Gear game too, and like in a lot of ways, I feel like I'm as confused by a lot of it as I was back then. Even though we just played through 3 of them, like it's these concepts are just bizarre. Like, I don't know.
I think it is very, like what you just said. It's very conceptual, and it's not something that you can easily grasp on. And it does require you to have played through all the other Metal Gear games. But even still, like what you said, it's like, what's happening? They're introducing a lot of new stuff to the Metal Gear formula, and it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, because I'm with you, Jack. I would put that onus on the game of like, yeah, you're not doing a great job with this, because I'm pausing, I'm writing down note after note about stuff that I want to bring up and talk about and ask questions about to all of you. And it's so weird, because in the other Metal Gear games, even in 3, we do get into PowerPoint mode at times. And whenever that happened, I was like, sweet, let's hear about this weapon, let's hear about the Gulf War syndrome, like all these things that they go into PowerPoint mode on in these other games I'm way into. But here it's like, they're just throwing all these concepts at you, and it's like, okay. And I think the big issue I had with this one was like, the stuff with the AI, like, again, just made me question, like, so what was the resolution of MGS2 really? We just became aware of all of this? Is that what it is now? And what you're saying also, the two of you, about, like, being confused still despite playing the 3 games, I had this thought, like, I get we do a bit of a time jump, right? But it does feel like there's some pretty essential leaps that we make in that time jump that aren't really addressed, you know? Because, like, MGS2 leaves off, and we have all those things. It's like, okay, we'll see what happens. And then the game opens up, not too distant future. This is, what, 5 years after the end of 2? In those 5 years,
so.
Suddenly every single place on Earth is basically a battleground now. Like, the Patriots got nanomachines and, like, everybody. Like, and they have this 3-pillar AI system, which seems like it can do exactly what GW was gonna do. So, like, I feel like we made a lot of leaps. Maybe it is that instance, Omar, like you say before, of, like, Kojima didn't want to make another one. And he was like, okay, well, we jump a few years forward, and then, you know, it was actually all for naught, because they still got their way, because they're still in control, and this is an inevitability. But to me, it did feel like I was questioning those things of, like, honestly, even if it was a movie, I could have taken a bit of a thing between 2 and 4 in the timeline to, like, make some of these things make a little more sense.
To make a Star Wars reference, which we've never done on this show, I think this game probably could have used a Star Wars intro of the letters coming down, because it really does feel like if Metal Gear Solid 2 was The Empire Strikes Back and the Patriots won at the end of that, essentially, where, like, Arsenal gear's in full effect and we see everyone just walking around and accepting what happens. GW has, you know, taken its effect and has just won. And now Metal Gear Solid 4 is the aftermath of that. And what's it like now living under the system? And this is the explanation of that. I feel like we had 3 paragraphs in front of Metal Gear Solid 4 being like, okay, this is the situation, then it would have made a little bit more sense. But I feel like that's where we find ourselves in Metal Gear Solid 4. But probably, I feel like this game shouldn't dive into the minutia of what's happening. I feel like if they kept it at a very broad level, it would be a lot easier to sift through. But they really want to dive into the minutia of what's going on with, like, AI and stuff. It's too much.
I think that's why I had my question about, like, so who does Snake want to stop besides Liquid? Like, should he be on board with that? Because, like, the way the Patriots made the world the way it is right now, and Snake in 1 and 2 was kind of fighting for this to not be a thing anymore. You know, like, fighting to end wars was sort of his, like, post-credits thing that he was talking about in MGS2. So it's like, I do feel like we make some jumps. I'm on board with what we're doing, but it does, like, really feel like they made a couple leaps that I'm like, okay, a little bit of context about something that happened between 2 and 4 that made this all happen and made Snake feel like he has to be doing this. Like, it does feel like we're making some jumps, and I'm questioning more things than I should be, because they're diving in deep on these concepts that feel like they've been ingrained this whole series, but they're really not.
Yeah, I think he is trying to give you those details, though, right? But just not in the nicest way. Like, they come as, like, random tidbits and facts afterwards. Like, the idea that after Metal Gear Solid 2, like, there's a throwaway line about that list of the Patriot names, right?
Yeah.
Where it was like, of course that wasn't real, right?
Yeah.
Like, they said, like, we couldn't follow through on that. And so, what did after Metal Gear Solid 2? Did Snake just give up for a while? Did they give up? Is that what happened?
It's like Endgame. It's like the beginning of Endgame.
I mean, clearly they went to go find Sonny, you know. So, like, was that
right? There was that
adventure, like, what? And then in the meantime, the Patriots were shooting nanomachines at everybody on the planet. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and they were getting Sonny from the Patriots, right? Like, so he's definitely not working for them.
Yeah, because Snake's still a criminal, or branded a criminal, because he was branded one with MGS2, so clearly that didn't roll over. But yeah, there's some progression, I think, from 2 to 4 that makes sense, but there's a lot more where I'm like, you don't have any other context. Like, Jack, I really think you nailed it. I think, like, a setting the tone paragraph or 2 at the beginning of, like, because Metal Gear does that in credits sometimes of like things that happen, but like set it up like that. Like, hey, they fought their hardest. The Patriots have a grasp on the globe, and that's the whole point of the Patriots, and they got their way eventually, and this is how it is now. Because at the beginning, we just get Snake saying like, war has changed, which is badass, but like,
Oh yeah.
doesn't really paint the picture outside of the fact that things are dire right now. Like, why?
Yeah, that is like what that is supposed to serve as, but it is very vague, obviously. And even if you had played all the Metal Gear games, it's like we're obviously after Metal Gear Solid 2 now. I don't know the state of the world, and you don't really get those answers until like starting now in Act 2. So it's a bit of a slow burn to be like, what's happening, you know?
Mm-hmm. So,
and we still don't really know.
I don't know. Like, I find myself enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it for sure.
I don't know if it's either. Listen, like, I don't know if it's either like I'm not understanding it to a point of like I'm just mindlessly enjoying it, right? But I feel like I am understanding what is going on. I think, right? And at least for Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, like I feel like I'm prepped and know that Metal Gear is not going to make sense until the end. And they're intentionally going to throw shit at me that I hope, and the hope is that at the end of it, they're gonna, give me the other puzzle piece, and I'm supposed to kind of put it all together later on, right? So I don't know, like I'm like I hear everything that you guys are saying, and like I agree, but it's like I don't know, like I feel like I have been prepped for this. Like I feel like Kojima has like just done all his games like this, where it's like, yeah, okay, I'm not going to really understand fully until there is like a conclusion, and like that's when it all gets wrapped up in a bow. It's an ugly bow. It's a bug that has some tears and some things that are not pretty about it, and things that really don't connect that well. But it's a bow, like that's kind of how I see it. At least like right now where we're at, and like I'm really enjoying the concepts of like. I think it's stuff where Naomi was talking about how like, yeah, like these nanomachines, they're intended to even like control the emotions of soldiers so that like one doesn't like go berserk or whatever, or one doesn't like feel the total grief of what they're doing in combat, and they're able to just like almost do war like a 9-to-5 job to keep money coming in and keep that industrial complex going. Like it's very fucked up, but like I love it. Like I think it's so cool, yeah.
I think all the stuff MGS4 is doing on that level, like self-contained within MGS4, I'm absolutely on board with, because I do think it's an interesting thing to throw out there of like I forget how I wrote it down because it is later when we're getting that like Naomi physical exam, but like it's really, and they directly do this, but it's sort of throwing out another thing of like, how does Kojima feel about gamers and like the way that video games and violence are tied together, right? Because they really directly bring that up when they're talking about that later on, Kevin, where they even pull up the menu of like the XMB and like show you those other MGS Metal Gear games, and she's like,
that shit
to them. I was like, oh, that's
blew me back. Yeah.
I was like, cheesy as hell, but I love this, and it's in the same beat of her saying, the nanomachines are there to mask the atrocities and make it a game to them, and there's like legit things about that, and I feel like that's the first time this game's saying something in its own story and world, because everything else, I think the holdups I have narratively so far are because, and maybe this is because I'm revisiting this story, but like 4 feels like a conclusion to a lot of arcs. So the fact that they're like making these shifts of where we left off on some arcs in 2 without really any explanation makes it a bit more confusing to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm with you, Metal Gear endings typically go off and make everything make sense, but if this game hypothetically in its entirety is supposed to be an ending to some arcs, like why are we throwing a huge wrench in some of these arcs out the gate and not really explaining why they're like that? I think that's the thing that's confusing to me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. Like I don't know. I'm just going at it in like, okay, yeah, maybe some things don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that they're gonna make somewhat sense at the end of the game, right? Like as a first time player, like I'm just assuming that, you know, like we'll get explanations to certain questions later on, whether they be in one sentence and like that's it, or whether they're overly explained and maybe even made even more complicated to not really understand it that well. Right. In the end of the day, but yeah, that's where I'm taking it. Like I don't know if that's right or wrong. I don't know if it's just because I'm playing through this whole series blind, like I have very little touchstones. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that is the way to enjoy this one specifically. Like it's a really well executed like romp, I think. But like, I feel like Kojima doesn't get Metal Gear Solid 2, and it frustrates me deeply. Like, can we talk about Raiden yet, or should we wait?
Oh,
like,
fucking God.
One other thing I want to bring up before Raiden, because we do deal with a good amount of stuff before then. I think the interesting thing, this will lead into Raiden though, because we're talking about the way the game is like trying to make some kind of statement, right? And I think this game came out around the time of MW2, and in that area of games, like there was that big conversation of like, you hear the military's using like Xbox controllers to train people to use tanks and stuff like that, and like all of these studies on video games and violence, right? So I think Kojima and Kojima Productions with MGS4 making a mechanic, which we didn't really talk about so far, but like the psych meter, and then introducing Rosemary as like your consultant, as like a therapist kind of, to help you deal with the stress of war, and then pairing that with the artificial suppression of like actual emotional conflicts and feelings that war bring on through nanomachines. That's what I'm grasping onto of like what this game is saying, the way that MGS1 is saying something, MGS2 is saying something. So how do you guys feel about Rosemary's introduction and the psych meter, mechanically and narratively?
Can I say about your whole point about the video games thing, the war? Like, I feel like Metal Gear Solid 2 makes that point so much cooler and better.
It does, yeah. I
with the way that game is structured.
With 2, I think that's an element of it. I don't know if that's like the main thing, right? But I think 4, it's trying to make it the main thing, at least so far.
Man, I feel like 2 definitely makes it the main thing, right? In terms of like the whole simulation you go through, and the fabric of like what's canon and not canon about being a video game, right? Like, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. I think part of that, though, maybe for this playthrough, the way I was reading all that was more of the misinformation thing. But I definitely see the element of it for sure with games.
Yeah, no, honestly, I feel like the misinformation stuff is like an element of Metal Gear Solid 2, but people forget about the way that game is like structured in a way to be like, this is a video game. Be careful. Like, I don't know. What was the question about Rosemary? I'm sorry.
Just implementing that as like a mechanic, and sort of kind of replacing your stamina from 3, and the context behind that with the stories they're using of like nanomachines to suppress soldier trauma and stuff like that.
I think it's cool, but I feel like also maybe it was a bit cynical. Like from like don't they kind of make jokes about like, I hear counseling's all the rage right now or something, which feels like the same jokes people make about people going into psych majors. I don't know. That frustrated me, maybe a little bit upset, but I don't know.
Jack, what do you think?
I honestly never found a use to call Rosemary in this PlayStation yet, and in a similar way, like that mechanic, like what you said, is sort of the way to replace stamina from MGS3. And I feel like in MGS3 that was largely forgettable. Like you catch a snake every once in a while and you eat it. And in this game, it's kind of the same for me, at least, where, oh, my psych is depleted, I'll eat some noodles or whatever that replenish my health and psych. So I feel like in both games they probably could have gone a little bit deeper in those mechanics at least.
Mm-hmm. Kevin, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I honestly didn't think too much into it. Like I don't know. Like I just saw it as like okay, like sometime like I think Snake will do certain actions like less effectively or less fluidly or something like that when that psych meter is low, I guess. And I don't think I've been given an example as to what differences really happen when he has a low psych. Like I think I called her once just for fun, I think, but I don't. So far, like I haven't really felt like it was that crucial to the game. Maybe it will down the line, right? But yeah, and maybe that could be the difficulty I'm playing on too. Like that could also be a huge factor. Where I feel like the stamina bar in MGS3 I like barely interacted with or barely even noticed. I think because of that difficulty. So it might be something like that, but I haven't been really paying that much attention to my psyche at least. Yeah,
sure. And
I just want to say I think I'm doing something wrong because I'm always struggling with the psyche and stamina meters. Like my gun is almost always shaking. I don't know.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I always got Snake with a shaky gun.
Huh.
And I forget what difficulty are you on?
I'm on normal. I think solid normal. I'm not sure.
I'm on naked normal, and I've definitely like lost a bar or two of the stamina. Sorry, the psych meter, but I haven't found it affecting me in a noticeable way.
Literally watching the cutscenes where like someone says something mean to Snake and his stress goes up or his psyche goes down, and I'm like, "Fuck you! I need that." Yeah. Like,
I think that's funny though. It's
hilarious. Yeah.
Like that is funny. Yeah.
I think there was an instance. I didn't write it down, but there was I think during the physical where Naomi was like, "Snake, you're old," and then he just went down or something.
Naomi is such an asshole during that scene. Like he takes off his shirt and then she's like, "Oh my god!" Like,
thanks.
Yeah,
like it. I'm really having a hard time with this because like it's not his fault.
Yeah.
Like, why is everyone so mean to him being old? Like, fuck, man. Like, let the man live. Shit. And he's out here still killing the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anyone else doing anything as integral besides Raiden. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't see Colonel out here, but everyone wants to crack jokes about my boy Snake. It's fucked up, man.
Like could you imagine going to the doctors and then your doctor just starts crying? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, she's supposed to be professional. God damn.
Right?
Yeah, it's like I don't know. And honestly, I thought that maybe I read it wrong. Like I thought that she was like on the verge of tears seeing him shirtless because of, like the cuts or whatever.
No, he's got like
or just like the old body.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That makes more sense.
So Omar, I know you wanted to talk about Raiden. So we get an introduction to Raiden over the comms about halfway through this act, but part of
just like every other time a cyborg ninja gets introduced, they randomly call you.
Yeah.
No deep throat this time.
No deep throat.
Part of the way it's teed up though is in that psych counseling, little 411 that's going on. Rosemary is revealed to be Rosemary, that woman we saw earlier. Surprise! I was shocked. I forgot about that, and I think this is where we get some insight into Raiden, because Snake's like, "What happened to Jack?" And then she's saying that like he was an asshole. We tried. He didn't care about our baby. I don't know if she had the baby. Like, I don't think she says that, but he was distant and everything, and he was getting more flashback. Like, basically PTSD, and he was being an asshole about it. And he disappeared suddenly, and then she's like, but then Roy, was there to save me. And
yeah. Dude, I fucking hate this Raiden explanation. Shit. I feel like the direction of this character after two is like optimistic and beautiful ending.
Yeah.
Like, this is what happens. Raiden remembers his memories and goes, "Oh, guess I gotta start drinking." Like,
yeah,
I feel like at the end of 2 is like He remembers it, but he's okay with it. It's time to live my life and be a family man and remember what's important to me. But he just loses it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to throw out, I think there is something to, especially with the way that this series is talking about the effects of the military, right? Like, to maybe comment on, like, hey, not dealing with that the right way, it's really hard in and of itself, but not dealing with it the right way will get you to be worse than you were before, potentially. So, like, I think there's something interesting there. I'm with you, Omar, because Raiden might be my favorite character, and seeing it's like, oh, now he's back to, like, probably worse than when she's like, when you raised your fist at me. It's like, it is a bummer, right? But I could see maybe, like, you know, the PTSD got worse and he just wasn't dealing with it the right way, and then he just ran off. Of, like, that can make sense in character, I think. But for sure, it's another instance of, we're making these big leaps after 2 that, like, I'd like a little more context on, of, like, make a bit more sense naturally. But yeah,
this might be unfair to it, but I feel like this is a case of, like, Kojima going, "You guys don't like Raiden? Why not?" And then he makes him a badass cyborg ninja. Like,
that's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
But, like, that is definitely part of it. But I feel like we've stumbled across a Luke Skywalker Last Jedi situation where everyone saw that, not everyone, but a lot of people saw that movie and was like, that's not how Luke Skywalker would be. It's like, well, wouldn't it be? Like, it's been a long time since the last time we saw him, and the explanation we get makes sense. And I feel like the explanation we get of where we see Raiden right now after the events of Metal Gear Solid 2 makes sense contextually. Mm-hmm. And I think Raiden is supposed to be a tragic character, and I feel like they go a long way from Metal Gear Solid 2 and now in Metal Gear Solid 4 of explaining, like, yeah, he's sort of, that's sort of his character. Like, there's always been tragedy baked into his character, and unfortunately, even if we want to see what's good for him, that's not necessarily what's going to happen for him, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I like it. I feel like it makes sense.
I'm in the same boat as Jack, where it was like, on stream, I was freaking out. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is fucking dope. Like this is amazing, you know? And then as I kind of, like, sat on it afterwards, like, oh, well, you know, like, damn, like, you know, I think Jack says that, like, oh, like, I'm gonna go out and, like, find who I am, like, truly, you know, and, like, go off and, like, make a life for myself. And, you know, like, I don't have to be what I have been in the past, right? And then it's like, oh, well, damn, like, that kind of doesn't line up with, like, what you would want out of a hopeful outcome for Raiden, you know? But, and then it's like, well, okay, yeah, it's a tragic character, just right, as Jack said, right? Where it's like he had a very fucked up childhood, very fucked up. He was eating gunpowder and, like, all this BS, like it's been, yeah, torment, like, all the way. And this is just a continuation and, like, extension of that.
Yeah. Where
yeah, like, for me, it's like, okay, like, that's how I kind of made amends with it in my head, where it's like, hey, well, you know, like, now, like, yeah, it's cool as all hell seeing Raiden, like, spin both geckos using his feet and fling them off into other geckos and do all that crazy stuff. But now, like, it's also, like, a lens of, like, like, there's a bit of sadness there, where it's like, you know, this wasn't the intent of what he wanted at the end of MGS2. I would like to believe, you know what I'm saying?
Because, Jack, I think you're right. It does make sense, right? Like, I think that's where I was trying to come from too, of, like, with his backstory, with the clear, like, he has PTSD, that was a thing that he like, remembered in the middle of 2. It would make sense for him to, like, fall down a path that would lead to this. I think because, listen, him being a cyborg ninja dude, that's pretty badass. I'm kind of like that. It's pretty cool. I'm not questioning that at all. I do think it is, my main issue is what I brought up earlier of, like, it's just such a stark, shocking difference from where we left off, and it feels like the explanation's an offhand remark from Rosemary there, of, like, oh yeah, things didn't work out, and, you know, now he's drastically different than he was at the end of 2, which I think you can make it make sense, and I don't have an issue with the logic we're following here, because it does, like you said, it makes sense. I think it's just show don't tell, and there's a lot telling for some of these pretty major differences. That being said, I think Raiden is awesome in this game, but it's like it is a leap for sure.
I feel like it's like they had two paths they could go down, and yeah, this is one of the paths, but like I feel like this is the cowardly path. Like in a game where like so much about trauma porn, I feel like why does Raiden have to be this as well? Like especially with the fact that like he gets to remember what he was before at the end of Metal Gear Solid 2. And now we see him like this. It's almost like he was better when he suppresses memories. I feel like that message is just weird. And like the difference between like this and like the Luke Skywalker thing for me is like I really like the Luke Skywalker thing because I think it makes him a more interesting character. I don't think this makes him more interesting. I think it just like it's just hey, he's fucking dope now. Like I don't know.
Another so go ahead, Jack.
So I agree with you to an extent. I really like both the situations that Luke and Raiden find themselves in, you know, in the years past and where they are now. But with Raiden, I don't want to say like because it's weird to say that, but I enjoy that he is. I feel like this game doubles down on the fact that he was never supposed to have a happy ending, and Luke Skywalker sort of like loses his way in a little bit, and it sort of makes sense of where we see him in Episode 8. But with Raiden in Metal Gear Solid 4, it's just sad to see him like this, but it just makes complete sense of where we've seen his character, and if he goes off to find himself, like what was Kevin was saying, and I think they also make a reference to that he found Sonny.
Yeah.
And then like there is a lot like we don't know, but finding out that the Patriots they're the Wise Men's Committee are done. And it's like, I feel like, I hate making all these comparisons, but I'll go fucking do it. It's like where we see Thor at the end of Endgame. It's like, well, his journey is over, essentially, and now he has to go off and he's sort of left with, like, he can't even destroy the Wise Men's Committee. They're already, you know, destroyed, so he has to go off and sort of do whatever he can to occupy himself, and he's probably left with a lot of his thoughts from his past, and not having Rosemary there is probably difficult as well. So I enjoy it, at least.
Omar, do you think most of it comes down to the fact that because of how 2 ends with like literally him taking the dog tags off and being like, I don't need to be that, like that is the period at the end of that game? Do you think that's the biggest problem that you're having with the introduction here?
Well, like yeah, 2's ending like last moments are beautiful, like for sure. Like in terms of like yeah, if I got that Solid Snake speech, I'd probably live my life pretty nicely, I think. But yeah, I don't know, man. I guess I just can't really remove the fact that this feels like a really reactionary thing in terms of like making Raiden this badass and like I don't know.
Like
that's 100% right. That's definitely part of it.
Omar, I think you're fully onto something because of the voice direction.
Yeah,
he's Batman now.
Yeah.
Everyone in this game is Batman, to be fair. Or
like I don't know, like maybe this is not at all the intent, right? And that should not be like taking it this way. But like I find it a little bit interesting, even though I know this is probably not the case, of like Raiden saying, okay, I have to go off and like find who I am, and he ends up 5 years later worse than where he was, you know? Like I think there's something like I don't know if this is actually the road they're gonna go down, right? But like I think it is interesting, like that he reverts back to it and like doubles down on that. You know, I think that's at least somewhat intriguing, at least to me personally. You know, like if we're looking at him in a very like tragic character type of way, you know, which I think now it's like, okay, he definitely is a tragic character, right? So like, what does it mean for someone to like know that his past is haunting, right? But then to let the ghost in again, right? Like, well, like what does that really mean? You know, maybe that's cap. Maybe I shouldn't be taking it like that, but like, I think to a degree that's somewhat at least interesting to me personally. You know,
I think that's interesting for sure. Like, I think it could be that, but I just feel like it's just What's the
I
point?
totally hear you though. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it is definitely feels more of like a reactionary. It does not seem like that was the intent in MGS2 for him to revert back.
Yeah.
Like,
You know,
I
that
play
doesn't
Metal
seem
Gear
like that
Solid.
was the intent. Yeah.
I play Metal Gear Solid 2 the entire time, going like looking at the screen, being like, Raiden's like me. I'm that guy. Not really, but kind of like he's a player character, right? He's a stand-in, and then the end of it is like it feels like the end of Metal Gear Solid 2. I think is legit inspiring, and if that's the message that Raiden took from it, then to go this way, it would cheapen Metal Gear Solid 2 to me, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think another element of it too, and Omar, maybe this is, tell me if I'm off base for like what I'm thinking here. There is that conversation again with every Metal Gear game where it's like this one shouldn't have been made, like that we should have been done by now. So like, I think maybe with the instance of like the AI stuff with the Patriots and maybe Raiden, like Kevin said, going back to being pretty much how he was before he lost his memories. At least on a surface level, because we haven't seen through the rest of the game so far. But does it feel like we backpedaled in those instances to just make another game, kind of? Like, not that that's a bad thing fully, because like it's still really, like, we're all having a good time with it, but like I could see that angle too, because that is a conversation around every single Metal Gear game.
So Persona 4 is a game about a cast of characters, right? And they're gonna go through their own journey. Persona 5 the same way, but you know, everyone you meet has their own journey and hurdles to get over, and they end up changing their character at the end of it, right? They progress. But then a Persona 4 spinoff, they end up going backwards to the way they used to be, and then they go through that journey again. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like for this game with the sequel, like they're putting Raiden at the beginning of a new journey. I don't know where he's going to end up, but it feels like they're regressing stuff just to probably give him an arc for this one, right? Like,
yeah,
they don't need to. Like,
I think that is also a possibility because of like what I brought up of that conversation of like, did we need a sequel for every time?
Yeah.
Like, was this a necessary game? Like, it, regardless of me being into what Ryan's doing in this game contained in this, like, I think that's also a very real possibility of, you know, and a lot of the conversations we've had about this game so far where it's doing a lot right, but there are a couple holdups of some issues that seem pretty universal and between most of us, and like I think all of those can be tied back to the, like, you made a jump down the line at some point between the timeline of where we left off and where we are, and maybe some of it feels like it's regressing, maybe some of it feels like it's not contextualized fully. And again, Jack, you nailed it. I really think if we did have a bit more of a context going into this game, of an update on everything, of like what happened to Raiden, what happened to all this stuff, it's like, okay, well, if you're teeing that up out the gate, it prepares us. But I do think seeing Raiden show up and hearing the first comment on Jack and Raiden of being like, yeah, he basically went back to beating me and then ran away and didn't want to support our child. It's like, I get being disappointed by that, even if it does make sense, because I think it makes sense, and I, again, love that we have a cyborg ninja Raiden, but I definitely see the inconsistency there, I guess, and see that it can like hurt the game.
I just feel like, yeah, it makes sense, but couldn't we also consider it as like just like lazy writing for him to regress to that point? Like, here's one thing he did like back then. Like, obviously they wrote into the character, but it's just so much less interesting than I feel like they could have done with him, or just, you know, not even have him in the game. Like,
yeah, look,
why is Raiden here? I don't know. Like,
to that, I'll throw the maybe it gets explained later on.
Yeah, because we are in Act 2 still, for sure.
And I can't, like, I know I can't use that every time, right? And like maybe one of these times it's like, no, like it is going to be just face value. Like, no, there is no other. We just wanted another cool cyborg ninja. And it's like, fuck it. We're doing all this, you know, fan servicey stuff. Why not bring back Raiden? Why not? You know, we already have Colonel here. We have everyone else here. Like, why not just bring him back? You know, and like, and yeah, okay, we set him up to find a new life and, you know, have more of a happy ending. Let's make it cool though. You know, like if that is the case, then I think obviously, you know, Omar has the valid point. of like, yeah, like, you know, there wasn't really a lot of thought into this other than just to have another cool cyborg ninja and to have just Raiden be cool as hell, you know. But I'm banking on a particular reason, you know what I'm saying,
Sure.
for that. And like, yeah, I don't know. And like thinking, you know, and I mean, granted, we didn't get a lot of time to talk to Raiden here in this act as well. So maybe things get ironed out, you know, by the end of or like by the middle or beginning of Act 3. But what I hope is that, like, I hope what it ends up being is like Raiden, but like it's fucked up because like, you know, he you know, wasn't there for Rose and like this and that third, right? And it's like, if like what I'm just headspace thinking is like, you know, Raiden is not like, so he recalls who he was, he recalls the past he went through, right? But like maybe he understands like deep down that like he needs to seek revenge, right? Like he needs to not only like reconcile with that past and know that past, but he may have to kill that past in a very like tangible way, right? Hence why, you know, he's going after Liquid Ocelot again, you know, and assisting Snake again, you know, in this when he should have in theory just done what he did, which was walk away, you know, which would then hence give the title to what I keep thinking about, Rising Revengeance, right? Like, is that what that means? Like, is
that what you're writing down?
Arc door? No, yes, I did a theory. Yes,
okay.
yeah, like that's what I'm thinking headspace wise. Like that's what I'm thinking, but like also that seems too direct and too on the nose for it to actually be the case, you know. But
I'll tell you, in E3 2010, Kojima walked on the Xbox stage and said, "I'm making Metal Gear Rising," and said, "This is the game where you will find out how Raiden became Raiden." So
interesting.
Maybe I'm giving that to you, but yeah.
And I mean, like, sorry, my bad. Like, I think it's also telling where, like, you know, he's very much like, no, I'm not Jack.
Yeah.
No, fuck Jack.
Jack
like,
is dead.
I am not that dude.
That's the first thing I think he said in his Coda call. Like, Snake was like, Jack, and he's like, Jack is dead. Like, there is
hot topic.
Yeah, there is a division
Jack,
there for sure, and I think honestly, everything that's been said about Raiden so far in this conversation, it's true. Every single angle. Like, I think it is reactionary.
Yeah.
It is weird. It is cool. It is some choices, and I'm interested to see how his arc differs if we're going down a similar maybe trajectory of 2. But Kevin, one last question about Raiden for now. Why do you think he's a cyborg now?
Yeah, that's a whole thing. It's like, yeah, I do not know. Maybe it's like like, damn, like I really relied on Snake during Big Show, right? Like, and like I was kind of like a chicken with its head off, really, just kind of just, you know, willy-nilly around here, like, which is cool because like he was like the player character in that story, which I think helped it a lot, obviously. But like I think maybe he just wanted some upgrades. I don't know, or maybe it's some more dark shit, like, you know, because I mean he has like the white flu, like I think that's his blood now, the white like artificial blood.
Shit is so gross. I hate looking at it.
Yeah, that's it's quite interesting. Quite interesting. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It could just be that like I'm assuming either it was done to him involuntarily or he did it willingly as a means to not be the, you know, so uncapable soldier, if you will, that like he kind of was in MGS2 in ways. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, now I wonder, like, shit, like, when does Metal Gear Rising take place? Fuck.
There.
Yeah, when does that take place? I mean, PlayStation All-Star spoiled it, you know? So,
sure.
Yeah. But it's like, is he always like that in the game? I don't know.
Is that the next game? Or is Peace Walker?
No, Peace Walker.
I think Peace Walker's next.
Okay. Actually, me and Christian had a small talk about this, but we were thinking maybe we do Rising after 5, but we can talk about that later. I don't know. You think about
it. Really?
Yeah, because you've been really hyped about 5, Kevin. So I feel like maybe we should get that out of the way. And
I
then
mean, like
25
Rising's like a 6-hour game, so like that's
Yeah,
you
but
know.
also I feel like Ryzen could be a nice dessert to end the series on. A nice little treat for us. But who knows?
I think
I mean,
that,
like, if
that
it-
would probably
if
be
it
a
makes
one
sense out of the
episode
way.
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
So
Rising?
yeah.
Yeah, one or well, I feel like maybe two, but
I mean,
yeah, for sure.
If we're doing it in one, yeah, no, like I'd be down doing it in one. I would just break it up over 2 streams,
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah,
Telling
that's
me this game's
I guess a big
$13 on Amazon. That's pretty good.
So we see that Raiden again is dealing with some trauma, and that it resulted in him with a new cyborg body and some cool powers. We get that full dreb and drop about the B&B.
Dreb and drop. Sorry.
We we kind of glossed over it before, but this is really where, pre the Naomi scene, we really dive in with what's up with the B&B unit. So I know we wanted to talk about this, and we kind of didn't get to go all in on it. Would we rather talk about it before the Naomi scene or after? Because we fight Laughing Octopus after, but
Well, I think we talked about most of it aside from the fact that they are like beautiful ladies
yeah,
who got big boobies and they're all wet
yeah.
and kind of nasty, but surely for someone this look, I don't know, like I think Kojima's horny again, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like if there was which I don't know how you could think of a reason to really justify the fact that like these are the people behind your villain cast. Like if there is a coherent, not insulting way to explain that, I sure would have taken that. I doubt that exists. And so that's what kind of threw me off, where it's like, why are they like E3 booth babes that turn villain? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't. Never comprehended with me.
Wait,
like
you don't understand why the booth babes are angry or like have all this hate, or
like I don't understand why they had to be
babes
females that like not that it's obviously like I don't care if a female's a villain, but like as into like the why,
Like why they're
from a development.
sexualized.
Yeah. Like I guess like that's what like which I'm sure we've all answered the question here. Like, why does Naomi have half her fucking shirt showing during the cutscenes? Well, it's like, what is the point of that?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, Occam's razor is probably homies were horny. Like it is what it is. Yeah.
We were talking about like Metal Gear Solid 3 of Eva, and then we were like, well, there's more to come. I was referencing Metal Gear Solid 5. Totally forgot about all this shit.
Really?
Metal Gear Solid 4. Man, yeah, it's a trend that started. I feel like in like not subtle, but like in lesser ways in Metal Gear Solid 1, and it's just grown exponentially from 1 to 2 to 3, and now 4, and it's hard to ignore, to say the least.
Yeah, because again, similar to Eva, I was thinking more about it on Eva. I think, Jack, your final question, I think, where you were like, I think this was something you threw out there of like, was she playing it up the whole time to just like trick Snake? The more I've thought about that, I think she was. I don't think that makes it okay, but like, if she's at least doing that of her own will, and like, is she really, because she's being written by a man? But like, I think with Eva at least, there's a question there. Here, truly, no idea what they're going for. I really don't know. Like, they're not gaining a benefit from that. They're not made more interesting by that. It's not like they're using that of their own will, because like it seems like in the fight, at least, like maybe Octopus is like in a trance the way that all these soldiers are. She's being controlled and put in this scenario, and she thinks Snake will free her. So like, it's very strange. I get what they're going for with the nanomachine suppressing soldiers' emotions. maybe it's the same thing here, but like you're already trying to comment on that with the soldiers in the background already. You just trying to do it more now, and like what do you add on to that by making her wet latex girl? I don't know. I really don't. I was trying. It was like 1 a.m. I was playing this. I was like, Kojima, what are you going for with this? What are you trying to do?
Mom, don't walk in.
I feel like narratively the worst part about this scene at least is that they give all of her backstory after the fight, and it's like,
Dude,
if I want to care about this character, like, don't give me all the information about them after they're disposed of. It's baffling how you walk into this fight knowing nothing about the character, and then Drebin's like, all right, let's chat about what just happened, and this is the person that you may or may not have killed. And I understand, like, I tranked Laughing Octopus, but I understand that for them to come in and explain who she was after Snake may have killed her is an interesting scenario, but at the same time, I don't care about the character now that they're out of the game at this point. So I think it would have made way more sense if that Coda conversation was either before the fight or mid-fight, where that happened a lot in Metal Gear Solid 1, where you'd call in during Revolver Ocelot, and then you'd learn all of his backstory, and we get that at the end of this fight, which is bizarre to me.
Or like if she talked to you specifically, like directly, like if it was like a, like the Sniper Wolf last moments I'm gonna remember forever, something like that. Yeah, no, it's bizarre.
Yeah, I just saying, like, why are you telling me this now? I wish you told me this like 25 minutes ago, or like before we even engaged in combat with her,
And it's super strange because, again, this game's episodic kind of, and I like that a lot. We have a 15-20 minute mission briefing period where we could have gotten this info, Like, if Drebin knows the B&B unit, Otacon can find out some info, And they have, Otacon can tap into, like, a lot of different things. So, like, recon the area, you see this giant Doc Ock headdress woman, like, maybe read up on her and let Snake know what's up, Like, I know you want to have some fun reveals as you're playing the game. It's like, but use the Vamp for that. Like, you get prepped on Laughing Octopus for this area, saying that Liquid stationed her to patrol this. You show up, Vamp is here too. What? Like, I think you're right. Where I did love in MGS1 where sometimes, again, Assassin's Creed style, it's like you kill the person and then they're like giving you their life story. But like you said, Omar, she's not doing that. So like it does create a separation of like literally it's like a textbook example of just being objectified in a digital way, kind of just like you're a boss, you're meant to be killed, you're horny and insane. So there you go.
The backstory too isn't actually interesting like at all, right? It's just tragic, like not generic, but like it just feels like almost like fetishizing, right? In terms of like the trauma stuff. Like it's like this is really sad. This is her, and I think this is a series that always does that kind of thing. But in the previous games, it was kind of much better about this because they felt like real characters. But this it really does feel like objects, I guess, with the way they've been written and portrayed. Like,
fair enough.
Yeah, sorry.
So I know we've jumped around a bit. There was one thing I wanted to throw out there that we didn't really talk about when it comes to sort of Snake's progression towards Naomi. We get an offhand remark. Actually, you know what? We'll save this. Let's talk about Naomi. Because we get through the mansion. I thought the mansion was a cool set piece. I liked sneaking through there. But we get to Naomi and her lab, and we get her intro cutscene. L1, if you're going first person, you can see Laughing Octopus outside the windows.
Yeah.
Which was neat. And honestly, I do like the L1 stuff, I think, in this game more than I do in Snake Eater, because it just, like, it feels less jarring. It feels more natural of, like, there's a point of interest or there's something that's giving you more context, not just, like, press this button to look at boobs, And honestly, I was surprised that Kojima was reserved enough because Snake drops his cigarette on purpose to look up Naomi's skirt. I was surprised there was no L1 prompt.
He did that on purpose?
Wait,
I thought he did.
No, you're
Really?
probably right.
No.
dude, I did not pick
I thought
up
he was
that at
old,
all.
but
At all.
maybe you're right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's something Big Boss would have done. Not Solid
No,
Snake.
because that's why I was confused, and that's why I was like, this old man Snake's just a pervert now. Because I think he took his cigarette out, held it, flicked it, went to reach down for it, looked over, grabbed it, and stood up. That's what I thought happened. Again, it was late, so I could be wrong, but I'll check Kevin's VOD.
Yeah, I mean,
No, you're right. I mean, I was expecting.
if
an
it's
L1
right, I
prompt
missed
as well.
it completely. Yeah. If it's right, then I completely missed that, I guess. But
Snake's horny. I think he's always been horny.
oh yeah.
Like
for
he,
sure.
I don't know if we talked about this, but you can make him like jack off in a locker in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, that's a
Like,
trophy.
Yeah.
That's a trophy.
Did you get it, Jack?
No, I'm not a perv. Come on.
Wait, Jack, I think also last week you mentioned you were going to see if we could look at the Playboys. Did you do that?
No, again, I'm not a perv. No, I tried. It's just a descriptor.
Okay.
So
I do pick it up, when I see him on the battlefield. But
Yeah.
I would never, put such sorcery in my eyes. No way.
just casual reading.
Yeah,
Articles.
just it's a field intel.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This Naomi cutscene, we get to see the two of them meet up again after all this time. Again, I have another question for all of you. Maybe I was misremembering this. Shouldn't Snake be pissed at Naomi?
Yeah, that's what I
really?
thought. I'm like, wait, are you ever gonna bring up how she kind of essentially double crossed you, low key, high key, and some sort of deceive? Yeah,
And,
I thought that would eventually come up, but I was like, okay, all right, I don't know.
And maybe
Yeah.
kind of ruined his life with the Fox Eye stuff, because
Yeah,
I think maybe I just was misremembering this or something, but I thought in this scene the Fox Eye conversation was oh, this is part of the aging issue. I didn't remember that was just because of cloning, but I thought that Old Snake was Old Snake because Fox Eye was just killing his cells like that, and I didn't realize it basically passed through his system. So maybe that's why I was like, you should be furious with her. Why are you not this upset? But maybe that's just Snake. Maybe he just doesn't care. But he found a reason to keep fighting, so he should be upset, right? Because he's on a timer.
I think Snake. I think what you just said, Christian. I feel like he heard her story about all her backstory with Gray Fox and all that, and felt like she needed revenge. And I feel like there was a bit of Snake who was even though it affected him, he was probably I guess that makes sense in a way. And I feel like that situation falls squarely on Naomi in this game, where I was thinking about it after we were talking about when Naomi looks at Old Snake and it gasps at him. I feel like there's a lot of guilt associated with that scene because she probably feels guilty. Obviously the cloning obviously his aging is due to the cloning and not Fox Die, but I feel like there is a sense of his body is decaying, and they're still Fox Eye in some way or another is affecting that in some way or another.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of guilt associated with Naomi in terms of Snake and Vamp as well with nanomachines. So yeah, I feel like that's for her this scene.
that's a good point, actually. That's a very good point. I thought she was just kind of being an asshole about it, but no, I guess there could definitely be guilt there. Absolutely.
Yeah, because that was the read I had on it of she's crying because it's it definitely felt like guilt because she was I think the way she said Snake just to me read she was surprised and had all this emotion seeing him again, kind of how Meryl did. But I definitely think looking at it the way of just pretty fucked up that she's just crying at this old man's body, that is funny. But I did have the read of she probably feels somewhat responsible, right? I think her reaching out to Snake in general at all is because she wants to kind of atone for all these things, and later on at the end of this act she does talk about her sins, so she's clearly thinking about these things. And I did find it funny though, or maybe not funny, but interesting if that's truly what's happening, that she didn't really apologize that she turned Snake into a pandemic bomb. She wasn't really sorry, but she put Fox Eye in him, and Fox Die is the reason he has a couple months left, because that's gonna create a pandemic if he doesn't die.
Isn't it like partly like it's not just he's not old because of the Fox Die, right? He's old because of
right, yeah.
okay, right. But the problem is specifically his specific layoff on 3 genes are reacting with the Fox Die, and that is creating a pandemic or has a possibility.
I think it's okay. I'm probably gonna sound really stupid, or I'm gonna nail this. I think what's happening is that the Fox Die. You know what? No, never mind. never mind.
There are 2 different viruses.
I think I know.
In Snake right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which it was this was one of those PowerPoints inside of a PowerPoint situations where I was like, well, what the fuck is happening? But which is weird because she gives Snake like multiple different time frames. She's like, you have half a year left in your current state, but there's also this other virus affecting Fox Die in an adverse way, and you will be able to transmit Fox Die to people, and that will occur in 3 months. It's like, okay, that maybe should have been up first. Maybe you shouldn't have said, you got a half a year left. And she's like, actually, let's cut that in half. So, yeah, it was there's a lot going on in this.
Because wait, so Fox Die targets a specific genetic code, right?
Mm-hmm.
That reacts to certain people, right? Yeah. So, but is it because? Okay, wait, fuck. It's like something about the way the Fox Die is reacting to Snake's body. And there's something there that I'm missing that is causing Fox Die to let go of its ability to only look for this genetic code, and it's just gonna go everywhere. I forgot the middle piece in that.
It's reacting to a virus that was put in him, and he thinks that Drebin did it.
Yeah.
Right, when he injects him at first, and then Drebin's like, why would I do that? And whatever was put in him, either by Drebin or someone else that we didn't see, is what is causing Fox Die to malfunction in that way, and allowing him to transmit it to others. At least that's how I thought. That's how they explained it. Very confusing.
Right. But that's kind of separate from him aging, because that's how they genetically cloned him, so that way no one could capture him and re-clone him.
Yes.
Yeah. That was purposeful.
Yeah. That was purposeful. That was the intent of the cloning process, from Big Boss to Liquid and Snake. Right.
Okay. So we have seen the Clone Wars. 10-year-old clones are full-grown soldiers, and then they die in like 2 more years. So like, that of like it's a byproduct of being a clone. But like Jack said, again, kind of Naomi's fault, because like the reason he could just live out the rest of his days as an old man, but now he's like, oh shit, well, I'm gonna create a pandemic because of you, and like directly an action of her that she did it out of spite. Kind of, she agreed to do it that way with the people who created Fox Die, but like she still did it, and she did it to further her own means as well. So I definitely think there's probably guilt there. But
Christian, question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Snake is in super death mode. There's no way, like he's got, with the way they're describing it, it seems like he's got to die. Mm-hmm. Do you think this was another case where Kojima was like, fuck this is my last one? Like,
maybe.
Okay.
I mean, how many other Metal Gears have we got after this?
Yeah, like I do love the prospect of like, I mean, I love the concept of like, and it wasn't really brought up that much in MGS2, but like I wish it kind of was where it was like very much like you as a player remembering that like, hey, Snake is on a clock that has no type of numbers on it, no type of any way that you can tell, when it's gonna hit and strike the bell. But at some point, this clock is gonna be right, and Snake's gonna die. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really cool that that's in here. It kind of sucks that like, I don't know. I guess it's kind of like I wish like we kind of still had that mystique of Fox Die. Like now I kind of know that okay, like in 6 months he's gonna die, but in 3 months if he's still alive, he's gonna kill everyone else. Essentially, and say, like that kind of takes the fun out of it. Like now we're on like a clock with numbers on it. I think that kind of like leaves that mystery and mystique kind of alone. I kind of wish it was still like Snake, like I don't know when you're gonna die. I just don't know. I'm sorry. Like I don't know. But like eventually, yeah. But well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Did you guys notice that Naomi isn't British anymore?
Yes.
Also? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Good point. I did not.
Shit, I forgot about that. That's crazy.
They changed that in the Twin Snakes for some reason. And I guess this is the first time she's appeared in the series since.
Twin Snakes is canon.
I guess so.
I was looking at Twin Snakes. I think I might want to play that. I know you guys say it's bad, but like I think I might.
I don't care for it, but it's worth playing. Worth checking out.
It looks very interesting.
From what I heard, it sounds like the voice director was like, "All right, just do all of your lines and then just take out all of the emotion from your dialogue. Just sort of read off the page." That's like what
Twin Snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the voice acting's worse?
They re-recorded everything.
Yeah.
Everyone's voice lines?
Everyone, yeah.
Everyone, yeah.
Yeah, because like PS1 and PS2, just like the hardware just didn't. I was listening to an interview recently that David Hayter was like, "Yeah, we recorded Metal Gear Solid 1 in like a living room somewhere."
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
They like if you listen hard enough at certain points, or if like you boost the sound, you could hear like cars in the background because of traffic and all that. So I'm like, wow, I had no clue.
That is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's neat. That's neat.
Yeah, I'll shout it out again. Omar sent me that awesome Game Informer documentary about how they recorded MGS1, and there's a lot of stories like that in there from the cast, because they interview the cast and the voice director of the game, and yeah, there's a lot of really interesting insight, and part of it too, the reason they had to re-record was because I think MGS1 was like non-union recording as well, so like because of the second one coming out after some sort of union thing happened for that recording stuff, they couldn't use the original because of the way the union rules worked, so they had to re-record everything.
So I've heard two things. I've heard that, and also I've heard what Jack said about the motorcycle thing. Like apparently, like in the house, like they just heard motorcycles come up in recordings. Like there's two different answers out there, and we don't know which one's which. I think it's probably the union one, right?
I'd imagine,
probably both right.
Yeah.
But I feel like we just played Metal Gear Solid 1 just recently. It sounds pretty good, I thought.
Oh no, it sounds great.
CD quality audio. I think we even made a point to address like, man, this sounds good.
It sounds really good. Oh yeah.
But no, I want to hear those bicycles for sure.
Was there anything else in the Naomi cutscene that stood out to anybody? Like we touched on some stuff earlier. This is where we really get the suppression of emotions and the XMB moment that I love. But
that's why I never came to 360, bro, because of that.
It's funny about that because we get the XMB and there's two like gray boxes below, and I was like, is that Peace Walker and 5?
Yeah, because it said, I wrote it down because I was like, I want to, because I knew we were probably going to touch on this was supposed to be the last one Kojima wanted, but in the game, there's two that said under construction beneath MGS.
Yeah. It is probably Peace Walker and Rising, I would assume.
Yeah, that's probably more right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't notice that. I think I want to shout out Jennifer Hale during this scene because I didn't understand anything that she was talking about, but I think she delivered every line so great, and I was engaged thoroughly.
I cannot wait to choose FemShep in Mass Effect. Let me tell you.
Oh hell yeah!
Because she does the voice, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Very exciting.
We also get explanation of Guns of the Patriots in this as well.
Yeah.
Where like Liquid wants to take over SOP, and him using all the PMCs to revolt against the Patriots he's calling that Guns of the Patriots.
Which was I? What did I say it was?
I don't know if you had a prediction.
I said something like, "Oh yeah, okay, like Guns of the Patriots." I'm thinking like hired guns.
Kevin,
right?
No, what you said Guns of the Patriots would be Liquid's final moment where he flexes his muscles. I think.
I did.
Yeah, you said that. You do not say that. I'm sorry. I'm
I was
gaslighting
gonna
you.
say, Omar could continue.
I was like, wait a minute. I was like, wait, what the fuck did I?
I am so sorry.
No, dude, I was ready to just like go in on that because like Liquid's arm, is the thing controlling, so he just flexes
I was
that
like, holy
arm.
shit, did I? Fuck. All right then.
goes.
Okay. All right then.
And that activates SOP.
Oh shit.
Oh man.
But
Shout out
That's-
Liquid's arm.
that's the thing that I keep coming back to though about like I know Liquid's wrong, but like I feel like the series has thrown out this idea of like you should make your own destiny. 1 and 2 do that a lot. That's basically the meaning of 1 and 2's ending. And then here we're talking about Liquid who wants to free the world of the Patriots. He also wants to make it just a universal thing where like, hey, the strong people are good, which is still bad. But should Snake also not be trying to fight for the liberation of everybody from the Patriots' grasp? That's the thing that I keep coming back to. It's like just feels weird. Maybe I'm missing something. I know we've talked about it already of like he's, keep the status quo is going to be better than what Liquid would do in the long run, or what it would be like if you just ripped it all out, which, again, I think talking about masking the emotions of soldiers in this scene is pretty deliberate on getting that across, as well as like why Snake isn't really going for that, but it's just strange. And again, Act 2, but I've been questioning these things a fair amount. So,
Dude, I just never considered it, but you're so right about it. Like maybe they just gave up. Maybe like they just thought the Patriots were just too insane to tackle. Like I don't know, but I'll have to look it up honestly because I don't know what that's about.
yeah, because like
I kind of.
or,
Sorry, you go for it.
I just have a quick question. If there was a game, pretend we don't have a bunch of these things in the past, right? If there's a game where the main character is a guy that wants to free the world of this grasp of this faceless organization that's making the choices of everyone, and make it a world where people have their own abilities to scale up in society, maybe the metric isn't the best thing of like, it's just your kill count is what determines your value. But like, I feel like a game protagonist being in that position would be like, people would be behind that, It's weird, but
Yeah, I like the situation that Snake sort of finds himself in right now, where he essentially says to Colonel, like, we should just destroy this outright. And then Colonel's like, well, that would ruin all, like, many aspects of daily life that, like, we can't even account for.
Right.
So it's terrible, but we kind of need it in place right now. Like, I don't know if that, like, we could get it at the end, Snake being like, no, we need to destroy this, whatever. But I honestly forget because this game's very convoluted.
Yeah.
But I like the situation where they are already kind of lost, and they sort of just have to live with it at this point. And I think that's pretty interesting.
yeah. So, were you gonna say something else, Jack, or was that your point you wanted to make?
I was wondering if we want to talk about the actual like mechanics of the laughing octopus boss fight.
Sure.
Yeah.
Night vision, solid eye.
Yeah, that breaks this boss fight.
I like it when she does the Metroid ball roll at you.
Yes. Yeah, that's funny.
Knocked me out a few times, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big moment actually for me as growing as a person, becoming an adult, was I feel like when I first played this game, right, it was the summer of 5th grade, and this is the first like F-bomb I think I ever heard in a game. Laughing Octopus goes like, and it's also fucking hysterical, and the game never has an F-bomb before that. I don't think the series ever had an F-bomb before that.
No,
Yeah,
first.
it was pretty impactful. I think games just used to not like have F-bombs, but then like the next year was that General Shepard moment, right? Where and the world just fucking watched. He said, "You remember that?"
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
Call of
yes,
Duty didn't have F words like in that game
Absolutely.
either, except for that. Like it was used very sparsely, but now they're everywhere. But yeah, I love a good like well-timed like here it is.
Indeed.
I don't know.
And I think it worked too. Like, I know the delivery and the direction on Laughing Octopus is it's like cranked it to 11, but I did think that worked there. I was like, oh, okay.
It's freaky. I think it's unnerving, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
And
It like
you find this
instantly
funny? It's fucked up.
It like instantly made me like puritanical for some reason. I'm like, oh, they just swore. Like, because I haven't heard that, in all of Metal Gear so far. And I'm like, whoa, you just did that. Come on.
So,
I was so taken aback by that.
I was gonna make a point, but I just remembered I wrote this down. So, in my notes, I have just about the fight. I don't know what they're going for, and then I think after that cutscene of her death stuff, I just heard, "Oh, she's the Joker," because that's basically what it's going for.
And you're laughing, dude. Totally, she's very much is like.
But I remember my point. I think this is another instance of like, we touched on it, I think, with Metal Gear Solid 1 a little bit, but like there is, I think, like an element of horror to this series, and I think it's really felt here, specifically with the B&B unit, and like maybe Raiden also, but yeah, I think it's an interesting type of horror, not like a Resident Evil or Silent Hill thing, but it's very more subdued, and it's like an unease horror of like, this isn't too, like, maybe not specifically Laughing Octopus, but it's like, hey, these concepts, these themes aren't too separated from where we are right now, and like you're painting it and portraying it in a really creepy way when you actually think about it. So also just a little unnerving. So appreciate that.
Yeah, I mentioned it the last episode, but again, I think that scene with the PMCs and rebels are getting attacked by this unit was really freaky. But no, for sure, there's definitely scary. Sorry, Jack.
Totally. Like, I agree with the horror bit. Like, the thing I enjoyed probably most about this fight was how confined it felt, and you were just like straight up in a shack, pretty much. But like overall, I really do feel like just having night vision on this entire time sort of ruins the boss fight, and maybe that's on me, but maybe that shouldn't have been in the game at this point, because same. That just it just, if it's at my disposal, I'm going to use it. And there was just, aside from using a trank gun to defeat her, which took a while, maybe because it was a trank gun, but it took longer than I felt other bosses did in prior MGS games. But other than that, there really wasn't that much of a challenge associated with this, and the set pieces of her turning into people that or like the Mark II or whatever would have been a lot cooler if you were somehow like Solid Eye was like disabled for some reason, and like she came in with like an EMP or something, and I feel like that could have been a better way of having this boss fight be more memorable, because it is memorable, like it has those elements to it, but you're supposed to have night vision on right now. Like I just don't see a world where I wouldn't have played that situation without night vision, because she's a decoy and you can see her via thermal on your night vision goggles. So that's just sort of the game telling you to do that, and I sort of wish that wasn't available at your disposal in this.
Yeah. Like, I think hearing like a chain grenade go off in the beginning of the boss fight could have done a lot, and like not being able to use night like the eye and all that, I think that would have been definitely cool. But I still really enjoyed this boss fight, just in terms of like it felt like a cat and mouse, like hide and seek type deal. And I did like how like I was in this enclosed space that like, I grew to know more and stuff like that. And it was, and like I found myself like trying to cut her off in certain instances. I did get fooled by the Metal Gear Mark II. Check on Twitter. Had a bit of a jump scare. It's back. I don't know if that was the Claymore. I don't know what it was. I think maybe the Mark II like somehow just shot at me. Random explosion. I don't know. Happened again. Will it happen in Act 3? We'll see. I don't know. But yeah, Claymores in this game, or close explosions, very loud, catch me off guard every time. So far, every time.
20 gigs just for that sound.
Yeah. That one got me worse than the first one for sure. Yes, but yeah, like for sure. Like overall, like generally speaking, like I did enjoy this boss fight. Like just in gameplay, I just thought it was a really cool like cat and mouse like hide and seek type deal, So
yeah,
I enjoyed it. Worked for me.
I also liked it. I think the body double thing, like with the mannequin or whatever, that freaked me out. I was like, whoa. But that was, I honestly didn't figure out the night vision thing until like halfway through it. And I was like, oh, of course. I forgot to bring this up, but Jack, are you playing it on the disc, right, or the digital version?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if I ever said this, but I had to install the game when I first booted it up.
So, okay, did you install the full thing, or are you installing it like every act?
I installed it in full.
Okay,
So
okay.
I put the game in. I was like, I'm so psyched to play this, and then I had to install it, and it was Snake smoking a cigarette the whole time with a bunch of hints going out throughout. And then when you first boot up the game, he says, "Kept you waiting, huh?" And I was like, "All right, that was
Cool.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, because I know I think that option to install the thing on full wasn't always there. I think like when it came out, it was like you install it, every act has to be installed.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm with Jack. I think that the fight conceptually is cool, and again, we never got to fight Decoy Octopus in the original Metal Gear, so like seeing that come to fruition is cool. And I think it was just an instance of I knew I'd have that out of like the night vision would probably work, and I was trying to find her first location. I could not for the life of me because she was in the rafters, I think, and I popped it on. I was like, oh, there she is, and then I just played it out until the eye ran out, and then I waited, tried to find a couple hiding spots. Any notable hiding spots that stuck out to people? Omar, I like that you shouted out the mannequin. That didn't happen to me, but it's cool.
The other one was the I think that the whatever they call the CAT scan machine thing.
Yeah.
She's got like her
Yeah,
tentacles
yeah.
looking like they're cables connected to it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought that was awesome.
neat.
That's cool.
That's
Yeah.
neat.
Mm-hmm.
Me, there was one time where there was like a like painted like or drawn thing on the wall. Like she like became a drawing. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't think that was there last time. And then she came out of that. I was like, holy shit. Like, yo, how the fuck? Yeah.
It's
I
like a
thought
framed
that
painting, yeah.
was cool.
I thought-
Yeah. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, that was
Mhm.
a cool one.
She's a funny combination of Randall from Monsters Inc. and Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Dude, if only Steve Buscemi voiced her, that'd be so good. Fucking-
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
like
that'd
imagine
be
that
awesome.
wet Steve Buscemi came out of that machine.
That'd be great.
Yeah, because like, also I think it was interesting. I think the character is voiced by two people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, but
Those deep tones.
I did lethal for the first half of the fight, and then we have to fight Laughing Beauty afterward. I tracked her. I don't know if there'd be a difference. I think Snake went to check her pulse. I don't know if
She's
that's the
alive,
thing
I
that
think.
happens everywhere, but I was like, is this because I tranked her? Like,
I shot her, and he still checked the pulse.
okay.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to
feel like-
trank, but it took too long, so I just pulled out the AK. I think.
Nope.
Just went for
Hit
it.
it with
Hit
that
her with
AK.
this AK.
you know?
Yeah.
Hit it with that AK. Yeah, listen, bosses get no trank. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Regular, like regular people,
Mhm.
y'all can get tranked. It's okay. It's not your fault. But no, like if you're a boss, nah, hit him with that AK.
That's interesting.
That's what my approach was, because with the octopus part, I had 8 RPG rounds, so I was just night vision goggles walking around.
Jesus Christ.
Just sending RPGs at her.
Just
And
said
they
no
did
chance.
they did like nothing. I used all 8, and she still had like half her health left. So I was like, all right, I'll just. I whipped out the AK, and then when the beauty came around, I was like, I mean, you're not really attacking me, so I could probably just trank you. And it took like maybe 10 shots, and she was down. But
10 headshots.
no, because
Or-
she does like that little dodge thing. So I tried to
Yeah.
do like a. I don't know if you guys ever do. You know how sometimes in games like you can't shoot a specific character.
Yeah.
And do you ever like try and like move the thing and like shoot as you're moving to see if you can hit the person?
Oh yeah.
That was the strategy I took here, and it worked.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Wow.
So did not have to do headshots.
Yeah. I got the sense that she was alive after I tranked her.
Me too.
But because every Metal Gear Solid game before this, where you can trank characters, Fat Man, I tranked him and he just fucking explodes at the end, or bleeds out at the end, and then the Fury literally explodes. Like, oh sweet, I got him with that trank, and then he's just like, bah! It's like that's not what happened. So maybe I was just reading into it and I was hoping for it, maybe, but I like how this game at least rewards you for playing the game differently and getting maybe a slightly different cutscene,
Yeah,
even if it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
that's what I thought. I had the same train of thought because like MGS1 has a pretty major thing like that with Meryl, right? And I feel like since then we haven't really had anything like that. But I thought it was very interesting that he checked her pulse, and I got the sense she was alive. But Omar, you feel like she's dead based on that cutscene that you saw because he killed her?
I mean, he checked the pulse, and I can't remember if he declared that she was dead or not.
Did
But
she
it seemed
melt?
ice is. She melt? I don't think she melted.
Okay.
Maybe she did.
I just can't
I don't
remember
know.
if she melted or not. Like she could have, and I just could be completely wrong. But
I could check really quick if you guys want. I can pull up my
Did she melt?
Yeah, here, let me.
Yeah, where's the melting coming from?
I don't know. Well, no.
Oh,
'cause her
wait,
suit
no, well,
melted
like,
off. Like
I remember the black
octopus
stuff,
suit
yeah.
melted off.
Oh,
she was like
yeah.
sitting in a puddle and stood up. So I don't
Ink.
know.
Yeah.
You made
Yeah,
me
but-
ink.
Jeez.
But
Oh,
similar,
man.
Jack, to what you were saying about the night vision sort of killing the coolness of this fight. The next sequence we have after we escape here, we have to track Naomi by looking at footprints. And Raiden gives you this whole thing about like how a true hunter works and all these things, and like you gotta read the winds and the birds. He's like, but you can also use the solid eye if it's too hard. I threw that thing on immediately. It died. I waited for it to recharge.
Where are those triangles?
Yeah, man.
This was fun.
Yeah, like this was all right, and I was able to catch every time there was like a sniper perched up, and like I was able to have them trained. But like there was one sniper that was hidden like very clever, like a pixel was showing, like very subtle. So I appreciate it. Yeah. So actually, I'm looking at her die. A bunch of white leaves or flower petals, start swirling around. Oh, and she like solidifies. That's what happened.
Oh.
Like a field position.
No, yeah, ours.
There's
yeah,
like rock on her now.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Oh,
I didn't
don't
get that.
think
She
I got
hardens.
that.
Oh, really?
I don't
Oh,
think so.
Okay.
So she
you guys need to go back
in
and
your game.
To what?
like her
Korg.
like face is
It's me.
still like
Korg.
so her face is still exposed.
Mm-hmm.
She's in like that, that type of dynamic, whatever. And then like her whole body like becomes like black rock or something like that.
Oh, I don't know. if I-
Definitely Korg. Yeah.
Yeah. Korg, yes. Korg energy. Yeah. So not sure
Interesting.
I guess it's different for everyone.
You got
feel,
that, Jack.
feel free to go check out that, if it's different or that's what I
Yeah.
got.
I like to look at footage from that boss fight. What can I say? I don't. I'm sorry.
Kojima won.
Yeah.
Did you guys get the crop circle in this situation? When you were
Yes.
tracking. So cool.
Wait, what?
Oh my god.
So,
oh my god. Yes.
If you're walking around, you're trying to hunt for Naomi, and you take a wrong turn, there's a crop circle, and if you walk over it, you hear Patriot Campbell talking about the alien abduction from Metal Gear Solid
Yeah.
2, where he's like, when
Wait,
I was
really?
walking around one time,
Yes,
I saw a bright
it's in
light.
my fucking playthrough. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
yes.
check it out.
It is
It's
so
so-
wild. I was like,
See-
what the fuck?
You get like Drebin points for it. So my thinking is like, are there other like little scenarios like this where you can hear like previous MGS stuff?
Yeah.
I don't remember this from maybe I feel like maybe I've seen this before, the crop circle, but I don't remember any other ones like they can just stumble upon. But
When
yeah,
I
it
was
seems
looking
like
at-
there would be.
When I was looking at the Metal Gear Solid 2 quote information, I heard about that one, but it seemed like nothing else from Metal Gear Solid 2 in that sequence isn't in here.
Okay,
That one is.
I got a trophy for it. I forgot what it was called, but I got a trophy for it.
nice.
But yeah, that one was like, oh, whoa, that's crazy.
So-
yeah, I'm really glad I caught that on stream. Hell yeah, thank God.
The only thing that was weird, I think, on my end when I was trying to track Naomi was like, I think it might have been after a point where there were two frogs like standing in like a rock tunnel or something, and I found myself like sneaking up through some grass, and then there was a frog laying in the grass ahead of me, and I tracked them. They were looking at a shack because I heard Naomi. I was like, this is clearly a trap, but this sniper was looking down at a shack, and the Naomi lines were coming out of this shack. So I tranked, I went to the shack, and then there was a radio that was just pre-recorded Naomi lines being like, Snake, I'm over here. Snake, help me. So that was the only weird thing that I stumbled onto that was like trying to throw you off. But it took me a bit, but I found everything.
The like radio thing, right?
Yes, that was the only weird thing that I noticed on my tracking journey. But
I had that happen to me. Yeah. Sorry.
I found this this metal door thing with like night vision goggles had a lot of like chicken feet prints around it, maybe, or like small hand prints. Did you guys see this?
I saw handprints. I thought it does.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Sure. Did you see that square metal thing then, Christian? Or no?
Metal thing. I don't know. Like there was. There might have been in a little alcove near where the handprints were. They were like, just like, chicken prints might be what it actually looked like, but there was like this circular area of like probably 80 tracks that were just in a circle together.
Okay.
I thought maybe that was like Naomi got down and put her shoes back on or something, like because they disappeared for a bit. I thought I saw barefoot prints as well at some point, but yeah, pretty weird.
So why was there random like bra and panties like out there?
Wait,
what?
You guys didn't get that either?
No, I found like a scarf.
Oh no! I like there was panties, and then Seiko was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Like, what? And then there was the bra, and then Otacon comes on the comms and is like, wait, Naomi. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what's like, what is that? Yeah, that was really confusing. I'm like, wait, number one, why would she be stripping in this particular predicament? And yeah. It was. I had that, and that was weird for sure.
Yeah, because like I definitely found a scarf, and Otacon was like, maybe that's Naomi's, and I was like, okay, she's leaving a trail. Smart, but
right.
Yeah, I didn't get bra or panties. I got like maybe like a silk wool handkerchief or scarf or something. But I could see a world where this sequence is very annoying. I definitely got a little lost, but I was never frustrated, really. I was like, so where am I going at one point? But Omar, Jack, did you guys have any issues getting through here? Was it tedious, or were you fine?
Pretty much fine here. Just, I did fight some of the frogs.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about how the frogs are all ladies as well? Ever?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. And they also all disappear.
Yeah, they turn into blue flames. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that just like the PS3
cell processor, baby?
Trying to
not have what happens to the rebels on the PMCs? Do they disappear?
I don't think
so.
So.
They also go into like blue flames. I was gonna ask you guys that. Like,
really?
Why does that happen? Yeah.
Nano machines?
Yeah.
Maybe.
They just have a Thanos dust function in the nano machines. Be like, all right, you don't need to take up this space anymore. We're just gonna turn you to ash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For me.
The next section, Uncharted Jeep, I wrote down. Kevin, you have a history of being hit or miss with some of these sequences. What do you think of this one?
This one was all right. Yeah, this one wasn't too bad. I like the added aspect of didn't really understand why the soldiers were acting like zombies.
It's from Liquid in Act 1, the activated funny gas stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
Because that's why Snake did the injection, because Naomi gave him like a case of needles that would help him snap out of that control. Because she took Vamp, I think, took one, or maybe he was knocked out at that point, but she definitely took one.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So that explains it there. I did like the aspect of like, hey, I was on the turret taking down these geckos, and then one of them would just pull up on me, so I had to get out, spray him.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, like this one was all right. Yeah, no, like one was pretty. Yeah. Okay. Wasn't bad at all. At least I'd say.
Is it impossible to do a non-lethal playthrough of this game?
I think so.
Okay.
Because the thing is, you gotta be constantly shooting the geckos with that thing, and you can easily miss people.
Well,
you can miss
geckos are unmanned,
right, but
and
I mean,
like you get like it's hard. But I think for the platinum, you need to do it in a non-lethal playthrough, which seems impossible.
yeah, because like I definitely because I've been trying. I was for this one. I was like, Snake will probably just kill the people that he has to kill, and everything else is tranking. But yeah, getting on that turret, trying to shoot the gecko's legs, like soldiers were running in front of that turret. The gecko was charging. Something had to be done. I couldn't.
I also just think this game's more fun if you just blast everyone away. Like, I tried playing non-lethally until I got to the first frog section last week, and then I was like, M4, let's go. And it is just a ball of fun because, like, there are just way more action elements in MGS4 than there are in any of the other Metal Gear games. Like, action moments where the game puts you in, like, a state of alert, and you have to actually, like, fight people, like the frog section, and now here with the, whatever the Drebin machine is called. I'm forgetting. But like you basically like have to fight people, and I like it. I'm a big fan. I like the action parts. I think it's cool.
Yeah, no, same. Like, and like I love that. Like, I think in this act it happens pretty much when, you fight the octopus, where it's like, all right, we're going into combat mode. And it's like, hey, like, I like that they, when you need to be stealthy, you are stealthy. This is what you're doing. It works well, plays great. And then the game will call upon, hey, you need to start fucking shit up. And like, even that is fun too. So I like how it lets you not like you get to choose necessarily, because you can't choose, but like, I just like that there are clear cut ways of the game telling you, hey, it's time to be, action third, like do all the fun stuff with your weapons and all that, after you've been stealthy for so long. Like, I just like that they are able to do both. Yeah,
It's just like the nanomachines sending dopamine for soldiers that are getting kills. You are both proving
Damn.
Kojima right. The gamers love murdering people
Damn,
because it's fun.
I
that's
love
crazy.
it.
That's wild. It'd be like that sometimes. Hit him with the AK.
The majority, outside of one sequence of getting through a market with some geckos, the majority of what's left is cutscene. We see the big Raiden reveal with the trench coat, the katana, taking down the geckos, Raiden versus Vamp 2. So we can... I don't know how much there is to say on all this sequence, but we can talk about it pretty free range if you guys want.
My initial thought was, okay, this game's just an anime at this point. I'm like, everything is very exaggerated, and we're getting like all these big, like bombastic things, and I'm like, I'm in for it. I think it's cool. Mm-hmm. Even though like I think divorced from all the criticisms we were talking about with Raiden, I do think this action scene is really cool. But I also think it's ridiculous because they're just sort of beating the shit out of each other. Mm-hmm. But it's cool. I think it's cool.
I loved, like, there was like a little line that I think Raiden says it, or maybe Snake says it, like I forgot, but it's like oh right, yeah, like this is a rematch, like these two kind of were, like they were definitely opposing forces in Metal Gear, in MGS2. So I just like the way that they just went all out with it. I know, we've questioned, does it make sense for Raiden to be this side out? But like, hey, he picked up a fucking sword with his foot, like, and like swung that bitch. Like, it was dope. It was dope.
Yeah. Every time you guys said you wanted more Vamp and Raiden and Metal Gear Solid 2, here you go.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah. And hey, I know there's plenty of reasons why it's not the best, but I'm eating it up. I fucking loved it. I loved this. I loved it a lot.
Yeah, I love it too. Like I said earlier, like Raiden might be my favorite character in this whole series, and I'm taking this as part of that. Like I'm not being picky and choosy about which version of Raiden is the one I love the most, but like, I'm not saying you are. I'm saying that,
damn, yo.
I'm not saying you are. I just mean, like, I think that this stuff is awesome, and I think old Raiden in that game is awesome too, but I do have issues with the character leap. like pretty majorly, but self-contained in this game, it is cool. It's cool seeing him do this. The way it's presented, the cutscene it's really fun, and seeing him face off against Vamp again is very, very cool. But
did he need to break dance? Did you guys need it?
Yes.
Okay.
no,
All right.
I did.
Understood.
no, he didn't.
Yeah.
Guys,
No, 'cause
guys.
exactly.
He swung 2 geckos in a circle.
Was that effective?
That
the
was
way to go?
amazing. I don't care. Listen, this is just doubling down on my guys. Look, Metal Gear Solid is just almost stupid. Like it's almost right here. Okay, maybe it has a little bit more than
cross
one
the line.
over.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much crossing the line, but I fucking loved it.
Because
I loved it.
with every single spin, I was thinking about Jack when he said that in MGS3 you walked away from the screen and Ocelot was still twirling his guns. It definitely reminded me of what you said about that here, because I was like, okay, I get it, but it's still fun, but yeah, very different.
I think it's one of those instances of Kojima's well, I have this technology at my disposal to tell a movie at this point, because that's what I've always wanted to do. So you're gonna fucking get it. It's gonna be insane, and it is. It's bonkers. It's bonkers insane. This cutscene, as much as I loved it, I was like, this is bizarre.
Yeah.
This is wild. But at the end of it, I think it's again, divorced from what's actually going on with Raiden's character. I think it's a very cool reveal of seeing him up on the top with the. Obviously, it's very cliche. You have the exaggerated big overcoat that he flings off, similar to what Snake does, I guess, at the beginning of this game. But yeah, it's amazing. It's great. I love Raiden too. I think I'm with you, Christian. He's probably my favorite. And me personally, I like the direction of the character and what we see him as now. I'm hoping we get more information about why we see him. I actually kind of remember that we might not, but who knows? I don't know. The scene hit me in a good way, but at the same time, I was like, this is ridiculous.
Actually, the coat thing reminded me. Oh wait, maybe this is what you were talking about, the intro in MGS2 for Snake.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
That's what I thought. Okay,
I was talking about. I guess I was talking about the intro to MGS4 where that flies off eventually.
Oh
but,
right. Oh okay.
But
yeah,
that's obviously a reference to what you were talking about too. Yeah.
I mean, I think both are valid, right?
Yeah.
I think both are calling back to the MGS2 intro for sure. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
Omar, what do you think of this Raiden set piece here with Vamp? Do you like the cyborg or no? That's what I'm curious about, because I understand your hesitation on his character arc, because I'm with you there. But do you like the cyborg or no?
I honestly don't. I really don't.
Okay.
But I think we can get into that later.
Sure.
Maybe. But
Okay.
it just.
Because the thing is,
It really just is. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No.
I think I remember the reasoning behind it, and I love the reasoning, if I'm remembering correctly.
For why he's this way?
Yes.
Honestly, for right now, I really can't remember what it
Okay.
is. So
I can't either.
Yeah, we'll see. But to me, it does feel pretty unnecessary, and we've talked about this, but for me, a backtrack on the way he was.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the action directing of the scene, I also feel like it's a little all right, the breakdancing scene, the camera is just stationary there, and you watch them breakdance for a while. Stuff like that, it feels a little bit more awkward than I feel like the best action scenes in this game have been.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of it. It's cool. I'm upset, but it's cool. If that makes sense.
Because I think if what I'm remembering, the reasoning behind it, I think you can still get to that point and not have Ryan turn into an abusive guy that abandoned his wife. I think you can absolutely still get to this point if, again, I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, the path we take to get to here is what my issue is. But the fact that we are here, I really enjoy it. It's fun, I think. But
I personally, I kind of have looked at the series in a way from I do. When you were talking about picky and choosing, I I kind of do consider like Metal Gear Solid 2 to be the end point for me, and then everything else is just kind of gravy.
Mm-hmm.
So on a level, I kind of just enjoy this for being what it is.
Yeah.
But definitely in the greater lore context of it, I do get a little upset.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really it. I don't mean to be a downer, or I'm glad you're all enjoying it. I enjoy it too. I love being on this podcast and being here with you all. And I don't want to be a dissenter, but that's it.
No, like I think everything you're saying is valid, and I appreciate that we have this here on this panel. You know, for sure, absolutely.
Because I feel like for the most part we've all pretty much, especially in Metal Gear Solid 3, we all kind of agreed. So it is good having different opinions, because I know this game is it's before this series. I felt like this game was probably very polarizing to a lot of people, and I think this podcast is probably reflecting that.
Yeah, because I think also, I don't even know if what you said, Omar, is like being choosy about it either, because like 2 ends in a way that you could leave off there, right? And it does feel like 3 being a prequel does feel like, okay, we didn't need this, but it's here. 4 is like in a distant future. Like it feels like it could be an alt timeline thing, honestly. Like it does kind of, and we'll see with other stuff. Like I don't think we ever needed any more after 2, you know, because like I don't know how much we gain narratively or like saying something beyond that, but it does seem like everything afterwards is like, hey, we had an idea, let's make it a Metal Gear, and you know, maybe build on what it means to be a Metal Gear. But I don't think it's being picky and choosy to think that like 2 was the peak of what this series stood for originally, and everything after the fact is just like, I like some of it, I don't like some of it. I think that's completely valid and fair, because I'm that way with some of it too. And I like, similar to Star Wars The Dark Knight, I love those first 2 for Begins and Dark Knight. Love episode 7, episode 8, but third one, nope, I'm good. I don't watch them again unless I'm doing a whole full-blown thing. So I think there's nothing picky and choosy about just being like, hey, after this point it became something else, and I like some of it, I don't like some of it. I think that's completely fine.
I think Jack compared this game to a movie last week. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was
Force Awakens.
Yes.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Force Awakens.
I feel like this game is a lot like The Dark Knight Rises, to be honest, with how definitive and conclusive it feels like in a lot of ways, and trying to wrap up ties, and also like the scale of it. Remember, Dark Knight Rises gets on a stupid scale. Mm-hmm. I feel like.
Yeah, movie's perfect.
I like it too, but it's got issues, I think, right? Okay. This game kind of feels like that too. And I enjoyed those first 2 Batmans in a different way than I enjoyed the third one, but I still enjoy it. And that's kind of the same way I feel about this game in regards to the first 2, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
I feel like that's a really good comparison, because there's a lot of points in like both of those examples where you kind of have to turn your brain off, because if you think about it for too long, it either doesn't make sense or it like is way too convoluted, and like it can't be explained. But the ride is great, and I don't want to say it too early, because I don't know if it's necessarily how I feel yet, but I feel like Metal Gear Solid 4 is like a really great ride, and that's like the best part about it. And it's like that, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I love the game, but I feel like at some points it is a ride, and that's sort of what it is.
I know there's 5 acts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're at the end of Act 2. Am I about to say? There's no way this game is bad. I just don't. And I mean, I had chat, and a lot of people tell me that, Kev, like, you have no idea. It gets better. I don't know how it gets, like, I don't know how much better it could possibly get. Like, I walked away from this act cloud 9. Like, I'm Raiden picked up a sword with his foot. Like, I know it's stupid, but like, I just love it. I'm really excited to see where we go from here, you know. And I do have a theory.
Okay.
I do have a theory. So, you know, we're talking a lot about fan service, right? You know, for better or for worse, right? we've gotten a lot. Do we go back to Shadow Moses? And that's all I'm gonna say. That's it. I'm calling this the ultimate fan service theory. You know,
Where is that even coming from? The 4D
I don't
data.
know. Like,
Okay.
yeah, like that, but like not even that, because like I mean, like it's not like they haven't brought up Shadow Moses since MGS1.
And
like it gets brought up a lot, so it's not like that's the
does.
indicator.
because that
But-
also was like just a verification to be like, hey, this is actually me, Naomi, because I knew the layout of that. I took it as like a confirmation. Like,
Yeah.
you can trust that this is actually Naomi because she would know
That-
this.
that's
and not
what
everyone else
that- Yeah.
This theory is half like a wish slash.
Okay.
But then it's like, do I actually want to go back to Shadow Moses? But then it's like it got bombed, so like, is it really even there anymore? You know, there is that aspect of it. So I don't know. I just wonder if we ever go back to Shadow Moses. But like, I feel like even though I haven't looked a lot into Metal Gear, I feel like I would have probably at some point in my life stumbled upon the prospect of like, oh yeah, like there was Shadow Moses in Metal Gear Solid 4, right? Maybe not, but I feel like that would have been more likely something that I would have stumbled upon, or maybe I have and I just don't know it. You know?
Well, on the subject of fan service, Kevin, is that something you said as a wish? Is that something you want to do in this game? Like, is that?
I mean, if like there's like a good reason, I guess, but like I could see it being like so fan servicey where like even for me it's like like I don't know, you probably shouldn't have done this, you know.
Sure.
Like I could definitely see that for sure, but yeah, like I wouldn't say I necessarily want it, but I think it would be cool if they did it, if they really paid it off and really, you know, connect the dots as to how this makes sense, you know. So
If you want to explore Shadow Moses in a 3D environment, you should check out the Twin Snakes.
yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I feel
Game's got
that.
some stuff.
Yeah, I feel that.
Well, it seems like we're winding down. There's one last thing that we didn't touch on
Yes.
that was brought up here. This was originally brought up with Raiden talking about Sonny. He said Sonny was being held by the Patriots by, I forget the first name he says, but then Snake says Big Mama, because I guess it's a translation. So
I forget the first name too, but it was so good. It was so good.
So Big Mama, an agent of the Patriots, had Sonny. Big Mama wanted the remains of Big Boss. So Raiden went to get the remains of Big Boss to do an exchange to get Sonny, Olga's kid. Because Olga in her dying moments in 2 was like, please save my child, to Raiden. So he was like, he asked Snake to help with it at the end of 2, but like that was sort of his next objective if he had an objective. Olga in her dying moments to protect Raiden did everything. It's like, hey, they're monitoring you, like it's all tied to you. The Patriots are keeping track of your life if you're alive and all that stuff, so like please, you're my only hope in my last moments, please save my daughter or child or whatever. So confirmed he did that, and I guess he handed her off to Snake and Otacon. But at the end of the chapter, we also get a couple teases. Specifically, one we get over the phone between, I believe, Vamp and Ocelot, saying, we tried his data, we tried his code, something like that. We don't have the full thing. We need the original. So think on that. And then at the very end, we also get another Big Mama drop with Raiden seizing in the helicopter, saying, Snake, go to Europe, find Big Mama. And that's what we leave off with for this chapter. We have 2 little threads. We need the original. That is Vamp's directive. We need Big Mama. That is Snake's directive.
Big
Thoughts?
Mama in Europe, he says.
Thank you.
There's one more tidbit, I think, during that Vamp call.
Mm-hmm.
where I think it's after. I'm not sure when it is, but I think he says something like, "Yes, it's all going according to plan," which is really funny.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So is that Naomi wanted to go along with this? Is like she a plant? What's going on? A lot of questions, Kevin, that you're thinking.
We need the original. But why would Vamp say that?
Well, I think Ocelot said that maybe, and then Vamp was responding to it, perhaps.
Are you guiding me, Christian, or are you trying to? Well, no,
I
guess
mean, he was
gave
on
him.
the phone with Ocelot because he called him boss. Like that's who he's
I mean,
working
yes.
for. So we tried his code. We don't have the full thing.
I need the original.
Don't know what he's talking about. Don't know who Big Mama is.
I need the original. The original liquid body still at Shadow Moses? Question mark? Huh? Well, no.
Liquid's body was buried, I thought.
Yeah, but oh wait,
yeah.
no.
Wasn't
It was
buried?
unearthed because they
It-
had to get the arm, right? So I
It's
assume
being
it's
held by someone.
yeah. So it's somewhere out there for sure. The original, huh? The
But was
original.
Raiden doing it with Big Mama?
Or wait, oh wait, no. Maybe they're both going after the same thing. Maybe they're both going after Big Boss,
Okay.
right? Because I mean, Snake is a clone, Liquid's a clone of Big Boss. Maybe that's what he meant by original, right? The original being Big Boss, body of Big Boss.
Maybe.
Hmm.
Because I believe if we're going off of Raiden's call, he made that trade, so Big Mama potentially has the remains of Big Boss. But
I wish these characters weren't called Big Boss and Big Mama.
yeah, who's Big Mama? Is the boss still alive? Is she the Big Mama? She was the mother of everybody in Cobra, basically.
Big Mama.
She was the mother of Ocelot as a child.
Big Mama. Big Mama. I thought of Fat Princess whenever they said Big Mama. That was a funny image in my mind. But, Big Mama. I'm very intrigued. Very, very intrigued. Many things to discuss.
For the record, I completely do not remember who Big Mama is. I forgot that was a name, a character. I forgot completely all about that. I don't know how Omar or Jack feels, or if they remember what we're going to next. But yeah,
I don't remember shit.
Pretty much anything about our next step.
I actually remember this act like surprisingly well compared to the others.
Two or
Act
three?
3
next
or Act 2?
Act 3.
Okay.
Act 3? Okay.
Like I definitely
Interesting.
remember 4 and like the ending, but I don't know if I remember 3.
People on Twitter are telling me Act 4 and Act 5. Like, people are going to pull up to the stream to watch me, I guess, do Act 4 and Act 5. I guess those are wild. I guess. But,
Oh.
Big Mama. Okay.
Those are all my notes
Let's do on that.
for the week, so we can wrap up. We can do our final thoughts, predictions, and plugs if we would like to, unless there's anything else that we didn't touch on. We'll do the normal rotation. Jack, let's hear it.
Sure. I think at the grand scale of Act 2, I really like how you as the player can sort of manipulate all the AI characters on screen. And again, I feel like it was just a really great showcase of how MGS evolved from PS2 to PS3. And I think this is a super fun section. There's a lot of convoluted storytelling, and I think I've come to the conclusion that saving your big twist at the end in every Metal Gear game is not a good way of telling and conveying your story. And there's so many points throughout the Metal Gear games where the script is straight up just like contradicting itself every time it says something, and that's kind of annoying to me at certain points. And bringing stuff up in like the slideshow presentations, like what Omar said, can be a little frustrating. But overall, by the end of this, I loved the Raiden scene coming back, and I'm excited to. I mean, it seems like they mentioned Europe, so I really like how this is a like I said earlier, this is like a globe-trotting adventure, and I really like just going around to different places and not being in the same situation. And I feel like it makes the game a little bit more fresh and more memorable too. So, like last week, I just want to jump in, and I probably will after this recording because I love this game. But you could follow me on Twitter at FascinatedJack. Christian and I have a Marvel's Avengers podcast, and we also talk about the MCU. It's called Excelsior. You can find it on youtube.com/joyclicks or on podcast services of your choice.
Very nice. Omar, hit us with final thoughts, prediction, or maybe not predictions, but you know, and
No, I'll predict all right.
Okay.
Yeah. I think what Jack said about this game being a ride, it sure is such a great ride in terms of like the pacing is relentless. I really do enjoy sitting down in front of it every week, even if I had some things to say about Raiden. Otherwise, the game's fantastic to me. What was I? Yeah, plugging. I got a Twitch channel still, Ohms the Chef on Twitch. I'm still playing Resident Evil 4. I might finish that though. And then I don't know, Oscar special on Sunday. Who knows?
Ooh.
No, this goes up after that though. Never mind. Just check it out whenever you can, please.
Very nice. Yeah, I think again, to reiterate, like Jack kind of nailed the idea of it being a ride. I'm on board with it. I have issues with how we got here, like pretty majorly, with a lot of the transitions between characters and state of the world and all that stuff, kind of just diving into it. But I think in a weird way, this game is sort of acting like the final act of a Metal Gear typically, where like it's all explained in the last act of Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. Here it's like, I feel like that's the entire game, where they're constantly just trying to explain things of how things work, and without even setting up how we got to that point. It's just like, oh, so this is how this works. It's like, but why are we like this now? That being said, I still am loving it. I love Raiden. I'm very excited to see what's up with him in the coming weeks. If my memory is serving, and I hope it does, because it's a really cool reason. So yeah, I'm just excited to see what's next, because I actually, since I said that, I do remember one thing I think about Act 3. And it's every time I think of Metal Gear Solid 4, it is the one image I think of, for some weird reason that just stuck with me. But yeah, and you can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, TikTok at ChenTD2, as well as here, youtube.com/joyclicks for this podcast. All of our other ones, Gamescast, Excelsior, like Jack said, Jedi Knights. And yeah, Kevin, let's hear it.
I said I was mad that Act 1 ended, right? Because like I just wanted to play more. I was legitimately mad when Act 2 ended. Like I just want more of this game. I am loving this game. I think this game is great. Again, I don't think I'll ever understand the Metal Gear fan base. I don't understand y'all that like MGS3 over all of them. It just does not compute. You know, I can see MGS 1 and 2 over 4. Totally see that 100%. But I think this game's highs so far have like matched for me the highs of like MGS 1 and 2 for sure. You know, like I definitely think they're in the same bar. They're in the same conversation. So far at least, you know. Act 2, we'll see what happens. I think expectations, I kind of hope that we get to do a more indoor type thing. In terms of like, hey, like we're like in a facility, you know, we're in this like sandbox environment, you know, go at it like you will, you know. I hope we get some of that as well, and like more of like a classic feel of MGS, even though like shockingly, like this game is still doing that when you're in the midst of the middle of a battlefield. I think it's super cool in that vein. That like it's not like it's not here. I wish that we get just like a indoor setting, just like to really do it, you know. But I'm interested to see now we have numbers on the clock with Snake. Is he really going to end up dying here in this game? I'm intrigued by that. Then it raises questions of like, all right, I mean, now it's like, okay, I know that they're not of like we have a big boss established with MGS3, right? So like now it's like okay, they could go back and do that. Like, is that what MGS5 is? We'll see. But I am liking so far like where we're at with this game. Cannot wait to see more. I can't wait to play more. Those are being streamed Wednesdays. YouTube.com says PlayStation Source. Metal Gear Wednesdays. If I get intel from the panel that it's a longer act, we'll do Tuesday. Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll kind of split that up, hopefully, in ways that will make sense. But yeah. So you can check out those. I think I'm putting Resistance on hiatus. I want to start Resistance 2. I think I'm just gonna shelve that for a little bit. Because we got Returnal coming up. Again, I expect a lot of Returnal coverage on the channel. Definitely looking forward to that game. It's getting some good previews. You'll love to see it. We'll see how I think about it when I play the game. Definitely, of course, catch those thoughts on Gamescast. I'm assuming here on JoyClicks and Saveslot Podcast as well on these.com says PlayStation Source, as well as some interesting developments with Road to Rift Apart. There could be some really big things happening on that show, so very, very excited for that. Extremely excited for that. We'll see what happens with that whole thing, but definitely look a little bit more at Road to Rift Apart because you might see some really cool stuff on Road to Rift Apart. Other than that, yep, we still got videos going up on the channel, Twitter at PSSourceVids, all that good stuff. Yep.
Very nice. Well, that is going to do it for this week. Next week we will be playing Act 3. I'm looking at a guide at the moment. Looks pretty brief. So we might...
Yeah, Act 3 is the shortest one, I think.
Yeah, I feel like it's short.
Yeah, but 4 is also kind of long, so it's probably a bad idea to combine them. So
yeah,
we will tackle Act 3 next week for the next episode. But until then, the Akiba's MIA, but we're going to end on a fart once again. So who wants to do it this week?
I got one locked and loaded. I'm sorry, that was crass.
Please do.
Do we have to end on a fart? Is there something else we can do?
No, we can do something
How
else.
about the Lale Lule? You know what I'm saying? And just leave off the low. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna go off my boy Drebin and just say Lale Lule from here on out. I'm not gonna say the low.
That's the best part. It's like a dessert. Once you get to the end,
you get to hit that low.
Lale
well.
Lule, low.
Yeah.
Anybody got an idea? Anybody? You want to do snake?
I got the Big Mama.
Big
Mama.
Big Mama.
Jackie got his one.
just Mama. Just
Huh?
Mama.
Damn.